day and welcome. We are glad you're with us, and we are broadcasting live. We are at the Social House, HAUS, which is where you can find us. And we are here in, for a couple of reasons, as a matter of fact. It's their grand reopening here at the Social House. Dan Della and his staff, a longtime sponsor of the program, they're actually painting the front of the place as we speak. It should be done. They open up here, officially open up here, in about an hour, but they're finishing up a lot of the touches. They're finishing the paint. They're finishing a lot of the trim, the siding and such, and getting it all done. But we are here today because we are putting together the Fisher House ride, and this is our first stop on pre-registration. We have the pre-registration flyers that are here. You come in, you get scanned, you get today. There is a registration prize, so to speak, for those that come in here and register via our QR code today, but you can do it all over, as a matter of fact. If you want to do it, at any one of our stops, we're going to be at the War Memorial coming up here in a week. We're going to be at Potawatomi Hotel Casino relatively soon. We're going to be at the Rock Sports Complex, and they're going to be doing a lot of our on-site registration in those capacities. But today we're here at Social House, and we're going to hear from a lot of good people today that we don't normally hear from on the program. So coming up here in about an hour and a half from now, the staff from where we advertise all the time, our friends over there at the Bud Pavilion at State Fair Park, they're going to swing by and fill us in what's new coming to not only Bud Pavilion for Wednesday Night Live, but also for the State Fair this year. Angie Christensen, who is the president of Fisher House, is going to stop by and tell us what the ride means and how we need volunteers and such, and she can explain all of that. So if you're interested in doing something like that, you certainly can. But today, we are hanging out here, but when you talk in grand scheme of sports, man, what a walk-off win yesterday for the Milwaukee Brewers. Keston Hiura getting the call up, comes up, and we just got done talking about getting him some playing time and being more consistent, and then lo and behold, he ends up giving you the walk-off dinger, which, by the way, Ben, they called it 404 feet. Did you see how far that thing flew?
Yeah, I didn't. I'm always thrown off by the dimensions at American Family Field. I feel like that went 440.
I was thinking when they announced it that it'd probably be about 415, because it was on its way down. It hit the scoreboard, which is fine, but they called it 404. Well, dead straight away center field is 404. I thought for sure there'd be a 415, 420, 425 type of bomb, but nevertheless, it doesn't matter. A win's a win, and you take it and you move on. But off day today, back at it again tomorrow, and Keston Hiura gets the accolades for the next 24 hours until they kind of gear it up all over again. But man, what a big day for Keston Hiura yesterday! And like I said, now they've got a little off time. Washington comes to town before they go on a pretty long road trip. Where they're going to go to San Diego, St. Louis, and Chicago before coming back home to face San Diego to open up June. But they go to the West Coast, first trip to the West Coast, and then they come back to the Heartland where they take on St. Louis and Chicago. But the Washington Nationals is going to come riding in this weekend, and they've got Willie Adames bobblehead giveaway coming up this weekend, as a matter of fact. So if you and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, when is 90s night? Is that this weekend or next, or the next road trip, or the next homestand? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
They got 90s night coming up. Not quite sure when the 90s night is, but Vanilla Ice singing Ice Ice Baby 47 straight times to rock your world in your evening. Because correct me if I'm wrong, he only had a couple of hits, and that was his big one. And you got to imagine, if you're going to the Vanilla Ice concert, when you go there, you're going to hear probably 5 to 10 songs you might have heard of, maybe a few rappers that you've maybe heard of, and then you got to figure either it's the encore or the final song is going to be the Ice Ice Baby, and the place rocks, and everybody goes home and says, man, we had to wait a long time to hear just that. That's my assumption. But 90s night coming up down at the ballpark. The phone number's 877.
Are you a Vanilla Ice guy?
You know, back in the day when I was DJing in clubs, it was huge, I got to admit. But I think he's coming with Rob Bass. Now, Rob Bass, the song It Takes Two was the #1 dance song of the decade. I mean, when you threw Rob Bass on, between that and Vanilla Ice, you packed the dance floor. That was always your guaranteed go-to. Unless, of course, you threw out the ultimate white person's dance, which was the Electric Slide. But that's what you went to. So one of those three songs, you were guaranteed that you would fill the dance floor, and that was the rest of your night. The place was packed. But what you always wanted to do, you held that in your quiver until you absolutely needed it to kind of gauge the enthusiasm of the crowd. Otherwise, it ended up being kind of a non-energetic night, if you see the DJ mentality there. You could care less. To answer your question, if you had a car with a good Blaupunk stereo, a good amp in it, and a lot of thumping, yeah, you could play it every now and then. But I was not cruising around with it just jamming in the car. But you would hear it. I mean, you would pull up the stoplights or, up and down the boulevard, so to speak. Yeah, you would hear it. So, but it's you know what? It's one of those songs that more today. When you heard it back then, when it first came on, people went, and then they went crazy to the dance floor. Now you hear it, and you're like, I haven't heard this in a while. And then everybody that's, from that era, they all sing it like they know it. It's like Don't Stop Believing when that comes on. Everybody, and then they all sing it. It's the drunken bar song, And I know you love Don't Stop Believing. But
no Vanilla Ice on the, no.
It's horrible. I know.
Any Vanilla Ice on the Harley speaker ever?
No. There's no. I was saying this the other day. I had my Spotify on, and I've got different categories. I've got categories when I'm just kind of, like when I'm out on the boat. It's a lot of Buffett, some, Bob Marley. It's just kind of, jamming away on the boat, relaxing, cruising around type of music. Then there's the motorcycle, because you can never have Luck Be a Lady Tonight by Frank Sinatra cranking on the motorcycle when you pull up at a stoplight and look like a badass. You can't do it. You just...
that's what I pictured.
No, because then you'd have to say, well, my fedora blew off as I was driving down the road, and I lost it, and it just, that doesn't work, That's like you can't ever pull up on your motorcycle and accidentally have Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain playing either. It just doesn't work out well. It's never a good ending, as kids even point and laugh, and, they throw hot coffee on you when they want to throw it out the window. So... yeah, you can't do that. So there's different selections on your Spotify for the different libraries. Now, I can't say, and I don't know for sure, I'd have to look. I can't say that it might not be like when I take my vacation in July, and when you're laying by the pool, and there's just a giant playlist. It's like 12, 15 hours long. It might be a part of that, but I honestly haven't taken a look at it. I have to go look and see if it's on there. But there you go. How we get on this, man? Dennis says, "My God, 90s."
Start talking about Vanilla Ice.
I know. And then Rick, hey Rick, how you doing, guys? Good to see you up and about. So anyway, Brewers get a nice walk-off win yesterday. Here's the question, and I was on with our buddy Ernie from Viroqua this morning, talking to him, and the question is, at what point do the Brewers go out and get a bat? My question is, when do they need one? Do they need one? Do you feel that the Brewers are going to go get a bat before the trade deadline? Ben, do you feel they need one?
I think it's a little too early to say. They've been playing recently with guys hurt. You had Adames is out now. McCutchen had COVID. So I think it's too early to say. We've seen them fully healthy play well, but that was against bad teams. Right. And now they're up and down. So I don't know yet. I think maybe in a couple weeks, I think we should reevaluate.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as they're 10 games over 500. They've got one less win than the Mets and the Dodgers for the best record in the National League, and we're talking about the possibility of going and getting a bat. I'm not a big fan right now of kind of being knee-jerk, saying, oh, my God, they desperately have to go get one. I'm thinking more so you're going to kind of wait until you get a fully back healthy McCutchen, a fully back healthy Adames, and wait and see how your pitching goes, because let's just say the worst case scenario happens and you have an injury or two via pitching, and then you're talking about going out and getting a pitcher and not necessarily a bat. So I'm not looking at it as they have to go get one. And God knows that if you get anything out of Lorenzo Cain and he starts to hit the ball in any way, shape, or form at some point, because Lorenzo Cain has been pretty much struggling all season long. The average sitting at 182. It's not getting much better with an OPS of only 641. If you start to get anything out of Lorenzo Cain to where he can, get that average to 230, 240 between now and, say, the end of the All-Star break, I mean, that would be huge. That'd be like getting a bat, picking a bat up. So you'd like to get a little bit more about, from some of your bench guys, but Narvaez is sitting steady at 253, and Urias has been really solid since coming back, and he's hitting just a tad under 300 with a slugging percentage of 431 and an 835 OPS. So you're looking for these guys to get better, and obviously Christian Yelich, who had that average going up and up and up and up, and then we talked about it yesterday when Christian Yelich, after the videos, doesn't do a whole lot in the realm of hitting. At least yesterday, he started to stroke the ball a little bit better as well. And Hunter Renfroe had a pretty solid game yesterday. You want to get Adames back and get the average up, and the power stays the same. So I don't think you need to go say, well, yeah, right now we got to go get ourselves a bat. I don't think you have to do that just yet. I think you're probably going to wait until the first week of July, start making some maybe a little noise in that department when it comes to the All-Star break, and general managers start meeting and talking about what their needs are and what possible deals can be out there. But I don't think you're going to see any of the Brewers do anything until at least after the All-Star break. That's just my thought, but I don't think you're going to see them do anything until after the All-Star break. 877-867-1670. This portion of the program being brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They're the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Don't forget Bud Pavilion. Opening up this coming Wednesday night. The Bud Pavilion, Music Under the Stars is back. It's Wednesday night live at the State Fair Park. 6 o'clock gates open, 7 o'clock the music starts. Rebel Grace, the first band to take the stage. Free parking for motorcycles and only $5 for a car and free admission. Fantastic stuff. So don't forget to check out our friends at the Budweiser Pavilion, Wisconsin State Fair Park, every Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Live. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670. Also, you can also track us down the old-fashioned way via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That's thebillmichaels@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter and hit us up. Myself, also Ben Kenny, at Ben Z Kenny as well, at Ben Z Kenny. There you go. Find us in that realm as well. We are broadcasting live. We're at the Social House on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls. Stop by. It's kind of between Menomonee Falls and Brookfield, but come on out and say hello, and we would love to have you come out. And if you ride or know somebody who does, come on out and scan the QR code today while we're here. Get registered for the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 4th. Cannot wait, and it benefits Fisher House, Wisconsin, our military members, our veterans, and, of course, their families. So stop on by and say hello. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
One ball, 2 strikes on Hira. And a swing and a drive into center field. Keston Hira has walked him off. How about that? 2-run blast. And the Brewers win.
You know, it was just a great team win, and we had a lot of guys who came up clutch and had great at-bats in big spots, and Keston kind of topped it off, but there was a long list of guys that had some really tough at-bats.
Welcome back to the program. Those are the words of Craig Counsell. As, he doesn't pull any punches there. He just basically said, had some tough at-bats. Here's how things went, and then ultimately Keston Hira with the big walk-off hit, the call by, I'll tell you what, Brian Anderson, whether he's doing the NBA stuff or Major League Baseball, just fantastic to listen to him to do his thing, and good to get BA back on the mic. So good stuff there. But Brewers get a win yesterday, 10 games over 500 now, and the question is, do the Brewers need to go get a bat? Do they need to go get a bat? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you're hanging out with us today, we're broadcasting live at the Social House, watching us over on the Bud Light live stream. Some of the look now outside at the patio and also at the inside, the newly renovated interior here, which, again, nobody here because they're just getting ready to open here at 11 a.m. We got in here early today, but today is a fundraiser. Today, a lot of the proceeds from the tap takeover from our friends at Budweiser, some of the food and donations and tips and such going all weekend long to Fisher House, Wisconsin. We can't say thanks enough to Dan Dell and his staff for doing this. It's a fantastic thing. And obviously it draws a lot of attention to the business. We're going to see our guys here from Burn Pit Barbecue today, but come on by. If you're going to do lunch, if you're in the area, if you want to come by and get registered for the motorcycle ride, please do so. Or if you just want to come in and just check out the new digs, come on over. A lot of big screen TVs, as you can see in the picture there. They've got the PGA Championship, which is underway on, and so much more. So come on in and say hello. We'd love to have you here at the Social House here on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. Mac Daddy says, no, they don't need a bat yet. What they need to concentrate on is making sure that the pitching staff is solid as they head towards the All-Star break. Once things settle down, you'll find out just how good this team is. You also need to get more out of Colton Wong. He has been solid, but can hit a little bit better, especially hitting at the top of the lineup. This one's from Steve. Steve says, I like what Rowdy Tellez is doing. Would you leave him at the DH and play Keston Hira every day over at first base? Well, when we talked about it yesterday, the one thing about Keston Hira, specifically when he goes down to the minors, is when he gets an opportunity to play every day, he rakes. And there's no doubt about that for what he's been able to do and what he's been able to accomplish in the minors. So maybe giving him a legit shot to play every day in the bigs, maybe that helps him. And maybe his bat continues on, it picks up, and who knows how good he can be. But you just need something for him, right? You just need something for him. You need him to be consistent at the top, without a doubt. But you need something out of him that's more than what he's given you on the most recent history, where he comes up and he hits one or two, and then after that just completely goes away, and he's just not figuring out big league pitching. You know what? I'll say this, though. It's not entirely his fault. We talked about this yesterday, where pitching is so far ahead of hitting right now because of analytics, because of the videography, because of the way the pitchers can study the way to throw pitches, as opposed to some of the hitting that has gone steadily down. So if he's hitting 210, 220, 230, it's not necessarily out of the norm as opposed to many other hitters in Major League Baseball. It's when you hit 175, 180, and you're down there consistently, and you're consistently striking out, and you're not putting the bat on the ball, or at least putting the ball in play, then that's when you got to say, you know what, you got to go back down to the minors and start making contact, because guys in the minors, nowhere near what guys in the majors are doing. They're getting there, but he just goes down and rakes, and then he comes back up here and struggles. So good to see him get off the have kind of flip-flopping him and Rowdy Tellez over at first base, but still giving them their at-bats. Scott says the bats have needed work, have to work harder due to the sabermetrics used by pitchers use VR batting in practice, which we talked about yesterday, because they've got that, and I can't remember what the technology is. I can't remember what the actual cinematography is, but it's where they get it to 1,000 pictures a second, to where they can slow it down and see the actual spin rate of the baseball. They can count the number of rotations on the baseball. They can see the delivery. They can see the snap in the wrist of what they need to do, the release point of the baseball. Pitchers are so far ahead of hitters at that point. And hitters, the way you understand it is, hitters aren't getting enough time to actually see the baseball and see the spin rate to understand what it is coming at them, whether the spin is, because, you know, the old adage was, as we were reading yesterday, that if you were a pitcher, you didn't want to lift, you didn't want to get bulky, you didn't want to get stronger, you wanted to keep that snap in your wrist, and it would cause you issues when it came to your velocity. Well, now we're finding out it's just the opposite, that when you do work out on flexibility, when you do work out on strength and conditioning, when you do work your legs and get stronger underneath you, you get better push, you get more velocity, you get better snap, and then the ball has more movement, and pitching has become dominant when you talk about the hitting in Major League Baseball. At some point, I got to think they're going to move that mound back, whether it's 6 inches or a foot. At some point, they're going to end up doing something like that, which is going to change a little bit of the face of baseball the way we know it. They've already tried to go to pitchers and say, okay, we're going to check you every inning for any sticky substance, whether it's spider tack on your elbow, your arm, under your hat, your glove, whatever, but and on your fingertips. And if you have it on you, then they're going to toss you from the game. So we have seen them go that route to try to, you know, alleviate some of the crazy pitches that are out there for pitchers that were putting up, you know, really stifling numbers, because hitting is so inept right now, anemic, I guess, for lack of a better term. Our buddy Dwayne says, good morning. Good to see you at the Social House. Amy and I loved it there. What a walk-off yesterday win for the Crew. Have a good one. This is from our buddy Kyle. Said, I'd like to see Kutch move to a center field. Need more production than what Locane can give us. The one thing, and again, you'd like to see Lorenzo Cain begin to hit. And I don't think he can begin to hit if you're going to stick him on the bench. But I will say, if McCutchen comes back from the COVID protocol, now he's got the extra day to get some rest, and he should be back for the Washington series beginning tomorrow. But if McCutchen comes back and he's hitting, I think you got to put him in the lineup. I really do. I think you got to put him in the lineup and just leave Locane on the bench for defensive prowess. Bring him in late game situations when you are going to need good defense, rather than, and McCutchen's still a solid defender, but I think Lorenzo Cain maybe just a tad bit better, but put him in for defensive situations or as a pinch hitter and just flip-flop him. But if McCutchen's going to hit the ball and give you 230, 240, 250, whereas Locane's going to continue to struggle, I think you have to. I think you're right. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us there. This one's from Kevin, who says over on the Bud Light live stream, he says, I think a bat would help not only to get more hits and runs, but it might actually help everybody else around him. What position are you going for, Kevin? That's my other argument to this, is what position are you going for? Are you going for an outfielder, or are you going for an infielder? Are you going for a corner infielder, or are you going for a utility guy? Or if you're going for an outfielder, are you going for somebody to play right or center? Because you're not going to, move Christian Yelich too much, So where are you going to go? That's why, as of right now, I don't think you're going to go ahead and make a move. I think you're going to see what everybody can do and let them hit their way out of this a little bit. And looking at statistically speaking, anyway, you've got guys that, Andrew McCutchen, Colton Long, Rowdy Tellez, Willie Adames, Hunter Renfroe, Christian Yelich, all sitting at about 120, between 100 and 135 at bats. So you're not fully engulfed in the season. Lorenzo Cain, though, he hasn't even gotten to 100 at bats yet. Lorenzo Cain with 88 on the season, and with only 16 hits. 3 of those extra base hits, only 4 RBIs, no power, no long ball, no triple, nothing like that. And he's got 23 strikeouts to only 6 walks on the season right now. And which, again, sitting there at 182 with a 216 slugging percentage and a 463 OPS, you are an offensive boat anchor at this point, without a doubt. Ted says, good morning. Glad to see everybody this morning. Ted, glad to have you on board. And again, we're broadcasting live at the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls and talking Brewers. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the Fisher House coming up, talking about some of the music lineup out at State Fair Park this year. That's all coming up later. We're going to talk a little college football today. By the way, we're going to talk a little more college football today, so a lot of that coming up. Tess says, love me some walk-off homers yesterday. I was there. What a spectacular moment. Stayed to the very end. I, too, think they need to get a bat, but if they're going to get a bat, they have to get one for the outfield, not the infield. I think they're solid once Adames comes back. That's from Tess. Tess, appreciate the email. This one's from Stan, who says, huge to get Hira to get the walk-off, but can he do it consistently? He doesn't have to consistently hit home runs, but just get on base more often. That will keep him in the bigs and not always be the odd man out. And that is from Stan. Stan, appreciate it. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at New Mail Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders as well. And they've got, by the way, when you listen to other ads and they talk about 80, 70% success rate, 80%, New Mail's got a 98% success rate. 98, all but guaranteeing the fact that they can help you out. When it comes to low T and feeling sluggish and moody and up and down and just kind of dragging, hey, they can help you out with that as well. That's the low T treatment. It takes you maybe 5-10 minutes. Stop in, get your numbers checked, and you're going to be good to go. Or this time of year, as the weather starts to turn, we start to get a little bit warmer, and all of a sudden you look at yourself and say, know what, it's T-shirt season. I need to get a little more fit, a little more in shape, drop a few pounds and look good. They can help you out with the all-in-one weight loss program as well. And all you got to do is give them a shout. 414-455-4451 for their locations all throughout Wisconsin. 414-455-4451. Again, 414-455-4451. Stop in, tell them we sent you. By all means, 414-455-4451. Give them a call and see what they can do for you. That's the New Mail Medical Center. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live at the Social House, Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls. Going to be opening the doors here, which, the front garage doors are already open, but the doors will be opening here in about a half an hour. Stop on by, get yourself registered for the motorcycle ride, come in and have some lunch, maybe a beverage, a tapper, because some of the proceeds go to Fisher House, Wisconsin. It's all weekend long. It's the grand reopening here for the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. Stay tuned. We got more. The Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. We are broadcasting live. We're at the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. We're here today to kind of kick off things, not only their grand reopening, but our motorcycle ride. And the proceeds here raised this weekend. A portion of those going to go to the Fisher House, Wisconsin, so we appreciate that as well. So come on out, maybe grab yourself a beverage, your lunch, or something good. This portion of the program also brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Bingo Casino. Don't forget Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Don't forget they are just expanding in Milwaukee, and they are a proud supporter of our Fisher House ride. So is Great Lakes Dragaway, which is back open. And if you have a street rod or you got a motorcycle, whatever it happens to be, and you want to go down and race it down in Union Grove, Wisconsin, do it. Great Lakes Dragaway. They're always open and rocking. Don't forget The Rock, Alpine Valley, and also Knucklehead Bar down in Palmyra. All of them are going to be big supporters of the motorcycle ride this year, along with Growth Law Firm, one of the best law firms in the country when it comes to bikers' rights after an accident. So, and they also ride too. You're actually dealing with lawyers who ride. So another positive there. And thanks to our friends at Growth Law Firm, GROTH, growthlaw.com. So Ben, and I'm sitting here talking to you kind of during the break, but the NIL issue, you and I were talking about this the other day. The NIL issue is, we're talking about, now kids in high school are signing NIL deals. Alabama coach Nick Saban basically said that Texas A&M, they're buying everybody. And, I mean, you talk about throwing some shade, man. This was Nick Saban talking about the NIL process, which name, image, likeness is what that stands for. NIL, that's what it stands for. You're now allowed to sell your name, your image, your likeness to sponsors and supporters. And this, I said this when they decided to go in this direction. You are opening Pandora's box, because it's going to be whomever begins to utilize the system monetarily the best and within the realm of legality is going to be the institution that is going to just basically start buying players. And Nick Saban singled out Texas A&M. Take a listen to what he had to say.
And you've read about them. You know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team. Made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future, because more and more people are doing it.
So there you go. The NIL sustainability, as he puts it, he just doesn't know if they're going to be able to do it in the future because of the amount of money that some of these institutions have and some of these boosters have. And so now you got Jimbo Fisher coming back at Nick Saban and arguing with him. He said, we build him up to be this czar of football. Go dig into his past. It's despicable. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Wow, that's some pretty strong words. I don't know if, we have that or not, but Jimbo Fisher called Nick Saban despicable for his past, I guess the allegations of his recruiting style in the past and what he's done. And now you've got the barbs going back and forth. And this is all over money. This is all over money. This is all over legal money. It's illegal money, all that kind of stuff. And this is the stuff that we've been talking about, that whether or not this is actually going to be something that is going to be good for college athletics, or it's going to put so much mud in the water that it's going to be beyond despicably dirty. It's so I know, Ben, that you and I have talked about this. On one hand, do you just kind of smile to see the people that have been benefiting from recruiting, the people that have been benefiting from success, we'll say, as I say it in air quotes, so to speak, from those that have had big boosters, big deals, big programs? All of a sudden, Nick Saban has to start throwing shade at other programs?
Well, I smile because a day like today, I don't think we've ever seen in the sport of college football. This is a guy in Jimbo Fisher that had worked under Saban and worked with him, and now there was a full-on war. He pretty much said that someone should go slap Saban and slap some sense into him. Mm-hmm. And we don't really see that with those powerful figures. But yeah, it is kind of a situation where all the people that have held all the power, you see the floodgates open with NIL, and they've all lost their minds completely.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. When you look at first of all, when you're now talking about high school kids getting money, and I understand what the advertiser is doing, because they want to appeal to the high school kid that mom and dad are going to start buying things that are cool. So they're trying to get the kids to say this is cool, because it's all about fashion. It's not necessarily all the time about the science of what it is you're wearing. It's about the fashion of what it is you're wearing. So they want these kids to be held up and say, look how cool these kids are. You can be cool too if you buy this particular product, this particular shoe, this particular shirt, whatever. So yeah, I understand I don't fault the advertisers, but this thing where you're going to have guys now being paid for NIL deals, name, image, likeness, where they're going to get money for appearances at car dealerships or at a business, at a company, for a big booster, a big sponsor, especially when you're talking about some of the money in the South. When you start to talk about some of the money in the oil industry and the cattle industry and some of the big dealerships and such that are down there, and some of the big tech industries that are down there, I can see where this really becomes problematic, because some of these companies have so much money to throw around, they don't care. It's no big deal. It's all about how big of a booster they are within that collegiate system. And like I said, this is Pandora's box, man. I don't see this going anywhere good. Do you?
Well, I think there will be a correction. Whenever something like this happens, you kind of swing back to the other side eventually. So I think some of this chaos is, one, we had the COVID year, and then the roster management was weird, and now NIL started. So then everyone is just losing their minds over what's happening. I think in a couple years, it'll calm down a bit.
This is Jimbo Fisher now kind of charging back at Nick Saban. Take a listen to what he says.
We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out, what he does and how he does it. And it's despicable. It really is. And it's a shame we have to sit up here and have this conversation about things we do. And it's personal to us? Yes, it is. It's personal to A&M. It's personal to our players. It's personal to our coaches and everybody involved. And I know the guy. Know him really well. It's amazing that we're allowed to do those things. It's really despicable. And I hate it for our players who are coming here, who did things the right way, have done things the right way, and will continue to do things the right way. I apologize to you that people insult you publicly the way they're doing it. And our fans, I apologize to you guys for people saying those things about Texas A&M. I promise you this: there are no violations. There are nothing.
There you go. That's pretty strong. I wish he'd be. Don't you wish when he says?
I don't lie.
Don't you wish he'd give you details? You know, don't you wish that he would give you the detail as to what he's talking about when he says, "I've seen it. I know the guy." I wish he'd give us the details.
I think we could reach a point where we find them.
Well, that's what I'm going to say is if that doesn't spark some kind of an NCAA investigation in some way, shape, or form, I mean, I don't know what would, right? You've got one coach calling another coach dirty and the other coach firing back saying, excuse me, you're despicable. You're as dirty as they come. That's not going away anytime soon. And now, I mean, oh my goodness, you talk about rivalry football between the two coaches, between the programs, between the fan bases. Talk about rivalry football. That's very, very, very loud fighting words on both sides of the fence right now. Holy moly. So I don't see this going away anytime soon. And I'll be honest with you, it's good for our business. It's great for our business. But man, that is strong. That's Jimbo Fisher coming strong, man. Coming strong. Let's do this. We're going to step away. Let's take a listen one more time. Jimbo Fisher also saying that somebody should slap Nick Saban.
I don't cheat and I don't lie. So I learned that when I was a kid. If you did, the old man slapped you side of the head. Maybe somebody should have slapped him.
There you go. There you go. Jimbo Fisher throwing it down. Not just throwing a little shade like Nick Saban did. He's throwing it down. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Broadcasting live at the Social House on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls. They officially open at 11, although the doors are open. The breeze is blowing through here. It's fantastic. And as you're sitting there looking at it right now, this is the new addition, what you're looking at. If you're watching over on the Bud Light live stream, the new addition to over here on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls, the Social House, HAUS. And also, it is a tap takeover weekend for our friends at Budweiser. We got our guys from Burn Pit Barbecue that are in the house as well, who are a big sponsor of the program. Also, the portion of the proceeds this weekend raised today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, a portion of the proceeds and tips and such and donations all go to Fisher House, Wisconsin, helping military members, veterans, and their families at a time of need. And we can't do this without you. So please swing by and say hello. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome.
He's not. I think he should be there because he should have avoided what happened in the last year and looked at it not from a selfish perspective of wanting $100 million. But that happened. And then after all that stuff happened, I understand why he did not show up.
Gotcha. I mean, I get it because he's going to have to obviously answer to a lot of the questions. But, yeah, I don't know. I get mixed feelings because some of the things that he said were outrageous, obviously. He very much, seemingly anyway, had an axe to grind against the PGA. And but yet as well, I mean, he kind of made it seem like he would be dirty if he left and dirty if he stayed. And you know what? Here's the other aspect of this. Phil Mickelson, you either love him or you hate him. There's not a lot of in between. He's a polarizing dude because, you know, he goes through the arthritis and such and does the really nice commercials. He doesn't anymore, but he did for Enbrel, I think it was, the arthritic rheumatoid arthritis commercial, and was very personable and grew popularity wise through the commercial, obviously, and through his winning on the tour, but became very personable. But if you know him and people on the tour talk about him, you know, some people like him and others think he's a complete self-absorbed elite jackass. And I have seen him be that. So for this, you know, I guess some people kind of smile and say, well, you get what you know, when you treat people poorly, you get what you deserve, you know? So I don't, but Rory McIlroy, obviously one of the guys that, you know, outspoken and saying that he believes Phil should be there. So, and it is unfortunate. But you know, it is what it is. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You're going to get back into it coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about the NIL, about college athletics, about whether or not, and it's interesting because the question is whether or not, you know, you can't put the stuff back in the horse. You can't unpay people now. You can't undo contracts because what's happening is legal. But how in the world, with all the barbs being thrown back and forth between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher and some of the things that are being stated about programs now about going out. I mean, Barry Alvarez has talked about it. Paul Christ has talked about it. You know, every coach Greg Gard was asked about it on your show, Kenny and Heilprin, about saying, hey, we're not gonna delve into that. You know, we're not going to do it as far as, you know, promising kids certain amounts of money. But what do you do when other programs are? And they're doing it legally. There's not much you can do about it. What are you going to do? Is there going to be a way to regulate this? We'll talk about that. More Brewers chatter coming up as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. 3 more hours left to go, as a matter of fact, coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be back coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Chalk up a series victory for the Milwaukee Brewers over the Atlanta Braves as Keston Hiura celebrated his return to the majors by hitting a 2-run homer off of Jesse Chavez in the bottom of the 11th inning as the Brewers rallied from a 4-1 deficit to win 7-6. Keston Hiura, who was battling the flu, says it was great to help the team.
That's been quite a few days down after I got a little sick, and I was here yesterday, but flu was kind of going around down there, and so last night I was kind of on my deathbed. So, you know, just happy to get out there and help the team and be able to contribute.
Milwaukee now has the day off. They'll stay home for a weekend series starting Friday when they welcome in the Washington Nationals. Some bad news for the Brewers. They have placed their shortstop Willie Adames on the 10-day IL with an ankle injury suffered Sunday at Miami after an awkward slide. Adames will be eligible to return at some point when Milwaukee is in St. Louis to face the Cardinals. To the NFL yesterday saw the Green Bay Packers make their signing official with quarterback Jair Alexander after giving him a contract extension worth $84 million, making him the highest paid defensive back in the NFL.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week, same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and on weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers and forklift operators for all shifts. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry, consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply at suttontrans.com.
The Wisconsin Badger basketball team has added a second player in their class of 2023. That would be the Gus Bus, Gus Yeldon, who said earlier this week that he had committed to coach Greg Gard and the Badgers. Yeldon is a 4-star recruit. He's ranked as the 126th best player in the country and number 16 for centers. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show, and we are glad you're with us. We are broadcasting live. We're at the Social House on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls. If you want to come by, and they are, I shouldn't say we, I'm not doing a damn thing other than sitting here, but they are now open. The patio's open. The garage doors are open. The front of the place has been redone, and what you were looking at just before when we came on the air live, that is the renovated area. That is all new, and we're glad to be here. Glad to be here today. And Brewers get a big walk-off win yesterday. Jair Alexander, his numbers are out as far as his cap breakdown, which is interesting because a lot of the contracts that have been done by the Packers this offseason, they're banking on the fact that the salary cap then skyrockets coming up in 2023, 2024. That where it was supposed to be at this point in time is where it actually goes to. Obviously, COVID and the pandemic slowed those numbers down and made them stagnant for a season. But they're hoping that after this year, it goes up exponentially. And therefore, the Packers aren't in some kind of crazy salary cap jail where they have to start cutting players and have to worry about, kicking more money down the road. But that being said, we'll get into that coming up here in just a little bit. In the meantime, the Brewers get a big walk-off win yesterday, as you know. I mean, what an exciting moment. Keston Hiura being called back up and getting an opportunity late in that ball game in extras, and he goes yard 404 feet. Technically, I think it was further than that, but 404 feet. He gets a walk-off shot, and the Brewers get the victory. They're back to 10 games over 500. Craig Counsell, after the game, talks about another very nice outing from Devin Williams in this one.
Devin's going to keep getting the ball in big spots. That's not changing, and those are the innings I expect, and that we expect, and that he expects. He's a really good pitcher, and he's going to continue to get big outs for us.
And then also coming back when you get that kind of a win in extra innings, it was great to see the team continue to fight, because I think a lot of us thought that thing might have been, close to closing in on over when you started to watch that contest, and then the ninth inning they battled back, and you gave you a little bit of hope. So you kind of sat there, you bit your nails a little bit, and then sure enough, they get the win. And he talks about getting that big win.
I mean, it was a great baseball game. It was those extra innings. I know some don't like the rule, but it adds, things going on every inning in those innings. So you got to make plays. Every pitch matters, and we just kept going. And like I said, the at bats we made the outs really tough, and it paid off.
That win yesterday, I mean, granted, Keston Hiura gets the accolades for being the hero in that one, but between the pitching staff and the fact that they continue to battle to come back, Counsell kind of alluded to the fact that, yeah, this was a good win, but it was a really good team win too.
It was just a great team win, and we had a lot of guys who came up clutch and had great at-bats in big spots, and Keston kind of topped it off. But there was a long list of guys that had some really tough at-bats.
You don't get too many games where the pitching early on fails, but the fact that they gave up some runs and then shut it down after that, and then the Brewers just kept battling and battling and battling back and kept fighting back. They were down 4-0 at one point, only to come back and win it. And Counsell said that, the team just did a good job in fighting back. This was one of those games that you needed that.
I mean, we made it 4-2. It's a ball game for sure, and everything changes, especially having the day off tomorrow. So you can kind of go for it a little bit, and we gave ourselves a shot. We got Ross at the double to make it 4-3, and then it's something good and going your way. We know it's going to be against a tough bullpen, but we did a nice job.
And then Colton Wong came up huge, had a 2-out hit, sends the game to extras. That came off of the arm of Kenley Jensen, and Craig Counsell alluded to that, how big time it was.
The best pitchers, that's what they're in there for, because they're good at those matchups. And the big thing, it was 0-2. 0-2 coming back from that, and he laid off some pitches, and Jansen's making his pitch, get him to chase, and then we got to 3-2, and he got a strike, and he did enough with it. So just being down 0-2 to Kenley Jansen and coming back and delivering the game time hits, that's big time.
Then Keston Hiura, for those that did not know, he didn't have COVID, but he was sick on Tuesday night. He just said, man, he was feeling terrible, but gets a call, comes up, and then gets the start, plays first base in this one, and then obviously gets that big bomb late in the ball game in extras to give the Brewers the win. He just said he was glad he could contribute.
It's been quite a few days down in Nashville. I got a little sick, and last year yesterday, but the flu was kind of going around down there, and so last night I was kind of on my deathbed a little bit. So I was just happy to get out there and help the team and be able to contribute.
Deathbed a little bit. That's how bad it was. He went on a deathbed a little bit. He also just said he couldn't wait to get home yesterday after that walk-off win, get out of there and go home and go to bed.
Oh, I feel fine. I can't wait for some sleep. That's for sure. Toss and turn a little bit last night, but no, definitely feels good, especially going off day, especially against a team like the Braves, and being back, obviously with the team as well. It feels good to kind of do that.
Remember when he came up his very first time, his rookie year, he came up in the series against the Braves. It was actually down in Atlanta. He hit the hell out of the baseball. So, again, getting some success against that team from Atlanta. He said he felt more comfortable yesterday, getting there, getting settled, getting on the field. And as the game went along, he felt more comfortable. He wasn't looking to hit a home run, just looking to make solid contact there in that last at-bat in the 11th inning.
As the game went on, at-bats got better, and I think there was some opportunities where I kind of missed out on. So I just want to get the runner over, get Peterson over to third base, and find a way to extend the game.
Also, trying to be more selective at the plate. He's trying to kind of not necessarily change his style, but he's trying to be a little more selective at the plate.
No, I think when you just try to build off every at-bat, regardless of the result, be able to see pitches better, be able to hit the balls that you need to be hitting. So I think as the game went on, that was just my goal to kind of see those pitches and stay aggressive, but also be selectively aggressive.
And then last but not least, he talks about how you mentioned it earlier, but how the flu kind of started going through the Nashville organization.
Yeah, I was feeling great. You can kind of, I guess, hear in the voice a little bit, but no, the flu got me. Negative on the COVID, but flu got me.
Yeah, flu was flying around down there in Nashville, but that was Craig Counsell and Keston Hiura after yesterday's walk-off win. Brewers back to 10 games over 500, only a game back when it comes to total win totals over the National League for the best record in the National League as well. And we were talking a little bit about the need of another bat. At some point, you would assume that, I would assume that now you're still always trying to find the best deal that could possibly be out there. Maybe they go get themselves a bat, depending on who actually begins to hit, gets hot as the season rolls on. Most guys are creeping up on 100 at bats at this point, or maybe just a little bit over. But as far as going out and getting a bat, the need for a bat, it's a great place to be when you're 10 games over 500. You're leading your division, and in addition to that, you still talk about, we could use this, we could use that. There's a need here for something. So sitting in the position that they're in, and right now they're 3.5 games in front of St. Louis in the division, who lost yesterday. The Brewers are up. So maybe the Brewers can kind of stand pat. Guys start to hit. You get Lorenzo Cain to come back and maybe get you up over 200, 230 type of batting average. And some things begin to kind of fall in the Brewers' favor, we'll say. If they can if you can get Christian Yelich to be consistent, get Keston Hiura to give you some hits, Rowdy Tellez to continue to hit the ball hard. Man, there's so many things that this team can do. And then you get Adames back, Urias at full strength, you're good to go. So hopefully the Brewers continue in that direction. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up again, 1670. You can also get a hold of us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z. Kenny, at Ben Z. Kenny. You can find our mighty producer Ben there. You can also track us down over on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. And you can also track us down and subscribe for free over on YouTube as well. There's also Twitch TV, which you can download the app, but simply Bill Michaels Show. Find us there, and you can drop us an email the old-fashioned way, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Again, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Our buddy Steve writes, a nice comeback win for the Brew Crew yesterday. I don't think they need to add a bat just yet, but come trade deadline, I may rethink this. As far as Keston playing first base long-term, not a good idea. He is limited defensively, and that was very evident yesterday after he misplayed the ball that cost them the run. That it was nice to see him then make up for that misplay with the walk-off. I totally agree with you. I've said it before that BA is the absolute best. Brian Anderson, by the way. Whoever signed him for the Brewers was a genius. Between him, Wayne Larrivee, Matt LePay, Wisconsin sports fans are treated to the best play-by-play voices in all of sports. Aaron Sims, the voice of the Admirals, cannot be overlooked either. And don't forget, throw Bob Uecker into that mix. I think it goes without saying, but I'm saying it anyway. That's from our buddy Stephen Richfield. Steve, you are 100% correct. Very lucky in that sense. Very lucky in that sense. 877-867-1670. Find us again, 877-867-1670. Mark says, with all the salaries that are going to be going up a lot next year for the Green Bay Packers, are they going to be right back in the same situation they were this year? Tom Silverstein, let me kind of read this real quick. He said, Packers corner Jair Alexander, his cap numbers explode from $7.076 million this year to $20 million in 2023. It's one of many of their deals that actually do that. They are banking on this cap skyrocketing. After 23, Alexander's cap numbers grow steadily. 22 million in 24, 23.5 in 25, and 25.5 in 26. As that, well, you would assume at some point, if the quality of play is there, then you would assume at some point that they would end up extending him and then lowering that cap number. But there you go. Yeah, I completely agree. Big time. They are really looking for that cap to explode because it was supposed to be well ahead of this now. And they thought, well, it's no big deal to go sign some of these guys to these exorbitant cap numbers because in 2022, 2023, it should be exploding. And then all of a sudden you get hit with COVID and the pandemic, and you didn't have fans for a year. And so all of that plays a significant role. And then all of a sudden you're looking at, the fact that you can't just add all this money and guys are going to have to kind of slow their roll when it comes to the cap hits. And you're glad that Aaron Rodgers decided to redo his deal because, the $150.9 million that's owed to him, he goes from making close to 40 down to 28.5 this year. David Bakhtiari is going to be your second highest paid player at 13.4 this season, followed by Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry. And Dean Lowry they could still redo if they chose to do it and kick that can down the road a little bit if they'd like to. Then you got Adrian Amos at 7.2 in the last year of his deal. Then Jair. Then after that, it goes to Aaron Jones, Rashawn Gary, Mason Crosby still making 4.7. Obviously, if you'd cut them loose, you'd save just a couple. It's not like it's going to be a drastic savings, but still, if you wanted to, you can maybe even kick that down the road a little bit. Not that you'd really want to do that, but right now the Packers with estimated cap space at almost $16.8 million in cap space that's available, as the salary cap has been adjusted to $215,400,000, $215.4 million. They're hoping that goes up to about $230 next year or more. That's kind of where they're hoping that all this ends up, kind of matriculating to. But they're going to need more cap space than that, even if they're going to make this thing work. So if it gets up, because it by now is expected to be in the 240 million range, and it didn't jump the last couple of years the way they thought it would, obviously because of the pandemic. So that being said, that's the reason that some of these deals are kicked down the road, because they're hoping that some of this additional streaming money gets into it and then all of a sudden they have additional money to throw around, or at least to kind of pay some of these larger contracts that they have on the books right now. 877-867-1670. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Hey, our friends over at Cunis RV. If you're looking for an RV, travel trailer, motorhome, fifth wheel, whatever it happens to be, they got you covered. They are Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealership here in the state of Wisconsin, the fastest one. So if you want a new RV, a used RV, maybe you have one you want to get rid of, great way to go. That's our friends at Cunis RV, Kunes. Go to CunisRV.com. That is CunisRV.com. If you're looking for a Jayco, Alliance, Coachman, Catalina, Dutchman, Forest River, whatever it is, whatever it happens to be, Winnebago, go in and get one. Check it out. Go to Kunes, KUNESRV.com. That's CunisRV.com, offering top dollar for your trade-in as well. And they also do consignments. So if you're looking to sell your camper, but you don't want, all the headaches and the hassles, then take advantage of Kunis's RV consignment program with free pickup if you're within 50 miles of one of their dealerships. Again, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Go to Kunes, Kunes, CunisRV.com. That is CunisRV.com. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show, and it's coming up. We are broadcasting live out here at the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. Come on by and say hi. We're going to be here all the way up until 2 o'clock. And don't forget, all weekend long, a portion of the proceeds goes directly to our friends over there at Fisher House, Wisconsin, helping military members, veterans, and their families right here in the state of Wisconsin. So stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
No, you look at it. glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hopefully you're enjoying the day and taking it all in because the weather's been a little bit goofy. We know that. The weather was cool yesterday, and I was reluctant. Now, Ben, did you get some good sleep now that you can open the windows a little bit? You're not roasting because of the warm weather and the obstinance of your landlord to not turn the air conditioning on?
Yeah, I slept well. A little bit. It wasn't the best sleep ever, but
yeah.
I honestly was kept up at night last night because went out and played a little golf yesterday, and I have the yips.
So the golf game, in other words, wasn't good.
It's worse than it's ever been.
Oh my God! How can it be worse?
That's a great question.
You just the last time you played golf, when I asked you, you said that was the worst round of golf I've ever played. And how can it be worse? What would you do? Like, just lose your clubs on the way to the course?
No. The ball was hit
sideways.
Maybe my mental state is just deteriorating by the day.
Okay, I'm going to give you a story, and this is true, and you tell me if this is as bad as your golf game. So I had a buddy of mine. It was years ago. A buddy of mine was not very good, and him and I, we hit the bar before we went out. We only had like a Bloody Mary. It wasn't like we were drinking heavy. But he said, "Man, my game's terrible. My game's absolutely awful." So we jump in the golf cart. Now, mind you, the parking lot is next to the first tee. Okay, so like when you're in the tee box, okay, for those that are in the tee box, and I'm a right-handed hitter, so off to my left. Straight out would be the fairway. Behind me, when I'm teeing off, actually behind me is where they park cars. And then off to my right, to the backside of the tee box, is where they park cars. Now, it's just the opposite if you're left-handed, so I apologize. But, okay. So, my buddy, same thing. I get in, I tee up, I drive. Now, the first tee to green is probably 340 yards. I'm about, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 yards in the fairway, off the green. Okay, my buddy gets in. He says, "I'm really having a bad stroke. I'm telling you." So he is one of these guys that always lines up with the tee box marker, like between his legs. You know what I'm talking about, Ben?
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. Okay.
I know a guy like that.
Yeah. So he's always over at the far left edge of the tee box. So he's got the marker between his legs, and I don't know why he does it, but he gets right over it. It's what he lines up with, basically. He puts the ball a little bit further up in his stance. He's looking down the fairway. He looks at the ball, looks down the fairway, looks at the ball, and he's almost like Sergio Garcia, where he taps, works the driver down behind the ball, gets it into a feeling. He comes back in the swing, and with everything, he lets out a grunt. It hit off the very, very, very heel of the golf club. Very heel of the golf club. The very back end of it. And instead of going out, it shot backwards between his legs, barely touching the tee box marker, going enough into the air that it put a headlight out in the car behind him. Have you ever had anything like that happen?
It's not that bad.
That's exactly what happened to him. It put a headlight out, and it was not a cheap headlight. And this goes back some years. It's not like the hard plastic composite headlights today, but it put a headlight out. And I take that back. It was back then, but it was an older Mercedes, an old convertible Mercedes. And the guy pulled up. He had the top down. He's driving with the Payne Stewart chapeau on, and got out and took his clubs, and he was in the clubhouse. And my buddy put his headlight out. We had to go tell the guy, "Hey, your headlight's out, and sorry about that." Who then freaked out, and he was a little diminutive guy. He wasn't going to fight us, but it got into a little bit of a contested match of words, so to speak. But yeah, he put a headlight out. So if your game's not that bad, then it's not awful. Only in scoring is it awful. By the way, it was a 9-hole golf course that we played, and I think he shot a 58. So he wasn't good. He wasn't awful, but it was right there. So if you ever have an experience like that, then I can say, okay, you just go ahead and hang them up. Just throw the clubs in the lake and go straight to the bar, and we'll meet you there when it's all said and done. So good to know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk about some entertainment value coming up. So hang in there for that as the Wisconsin State Fair Park and the Bud Pavilion are going to open up. So we're going to get into that discussion. But in the meantime, this is from our buddy Adler, who says, I agree, Bill. Goody has to choose to move up and get Love instead of a wide receiver like T. Higgins. So he has to start Love by next year at the latest. He can't have it both ways. If it doesn't work, then that's how GMs get fired, or admit that he made a mistake, trade Love away, and move on. Go Pack, go. Here's my thought on all of this. First of all, I agree with you. I think, okay, there's two separate things here. One is the move to get Love. It was he saw something in Rodgers that he thought, okay, Aaron Rodgers might be starting to kind of fall off the table the year prior. You know, we knew Aaron was a little bit banged up. He had an injury that he was playing with, and obviously it affected him. But, you know, he saw something in Aaron Rodgers that said, hey, it might behoove me to get a quarterback. So that's what he did. Okay, it all turns out that it probably wasn't either one, the quarterback to actually get, or two, the move at the time to actually make. So we all know that because that's an ancient history. Now what do you do? So there's not a lot of people calling. There's nobody beating down the door to say we got to have Jordan Love on our team. With all the teams that were looking for quarterbacks this offseason, nobody was really calling. Jordan Love hasn't done anything to show anybody anything that he's going to be any kind of a quality quarterback in the National Football League as of yet. So that's neither here nor there. What I would say in regards to that is you do what you can to give him looks, to give him reads, to give him playing time when it comes to preseason. But this year is going to be different because this year, don't forget, Aaron Rodgers can't just say, I'm not going to play in the preseason, because you have got to get him on the same page with the likes of Christian Watson and Dubs and Amari Rodgers. And you got to build up some level of trust with those guys. You can't just say we're not going to play Aaron because of fear of getting hurt. I think you have to play him at least a little bit, right? So you're going to have to give Jordan Love, though, every opportunity to raise his stock. And then come next year, you're going to find out in the offseason, is Rodgers going to come back? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? What's going to happen there? And is Jordan Love a tradable commodity? Is there somebody else that you might be looking at down the road? But your hope is that Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love takes everything Aaron Rodgers has to offer, gives it to him, expands upon it, and all of a sudden gets good watching Rodgers in his third year. If he doesn't, then maybe you do look for a trade down the road. Maybe you do look for another guy to go to. But I'm not going to say that there's a desperate need right now that you have to get rid of Jordan Love. You don't have to. You hang on to him. He knows the system. And, again, if he, shines, then his stock goes up. Or maybe at the very least, it makes it a little bit more difficult decision, say, in year 3 of the contract with Aaron Rodgers rather than in year 2. But I think this is probably a 2 to 3 year plan that the Packers have to push all the chips to the middle of the table and just simply go for it. And if they can get some wins, get Jordan Love a little bit better, hopefully get themselves a championship, then it all pays off. Otherwise, if it doesn't, and he does not get himself a championship, well, then you can look at all of this with the contract for Rodgers, with what you've done with the defense, with what you've done by choosing Jordan Love over some of those. And then you can look at the whole thing and say, yeah, this was probably the failure you didn't want. I would agree with that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk a little entertainment value coming up. Also, we're going to talk some Alabama and Texas A&M chatter a little bit later on in the program. Jimmy Stein covers Alabama. He's going to join us later on in the program. Zach Heilprin's going to join us in the last hour. We're going to talk a lot of college and NIL, name, image, likeness, and the banter between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, which is, you got to hear it again. If you haven't heard it already, these two guys are going after each other big time.
I don't cheat. I don't lie.
Don't cheat. Don't lie.
I learned that when I was a kid. If you did, the old man slapped you side of the head. Maybe somebody should have slapped him.
There you go. That's Jimbo Fisher saying somebody should have slapped Nick Saban. There you go. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Stay tuned. This portion of the program being brought to you by our good friends over there at Skipper Buds. And they got my boat. They've got my engine. Everything's being put together. I can't wait. But if you're looking for a boat, if you're looking for some summer fun, and you're looking for a terrific deal, get a hold of my buddy Todd over there. Call him, 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. and see if they can't get you into a pontoon, a yacht, a sport boat, a deck boat, a fishing boat, whatever it happens to be. They've got new, they've got used, and they're looking for trades as well. So if you want to trade yours in, they can, whether it's cruisers, Four Winds, Mastercraft, Taiga, Scarab, Starcraft, Smokercraft, so much more. Get a hold of Todd, and if you want to get your boat summarized, call Ryan in service. I know they're backed up for the Memorial Day weekend, but after that, it loosens up a little bit, and get a hold of them there. 262-544-1200. That's 262-544-1200. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Start your engines and win a 2022 Chevy Camaro SS with a Pepsi Pit Stop presented by Jack Links. Stop by Quick Trip and purchase any participating Pepsi, Rockstar, or Jack Links product with your Quick Rewards card and earn an automatic entry. 10 weekly winners receive a $500 Quick Trip gift card and 4 NASCAR Quick Trip 250 tickets. And a chance to win a Chevy Camaro. The Pepsi Pit Stop and NASCAR Quick Trip 250 are your first stop to summer excitement.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. Come back.
Bill Michaels will
Do I have buzz on
resume
here?
in 4 minutes.
Test.
Test. You don't get a switch.
Give it to Josh. He'll be
You're
like,
not cool enough to have a switch. Yeah.
down. Turn her up.
Huh? It's fine.
Well, I would like that. That'd be great. That'd be great. Oh, we can make something fun happen. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
Right. I don't think it'll be the biggest time because people are about. Oh. Yeah. And there's too much other stuff about this. There's like a big hotels. There's meetings. Right. Which is also Summerfest. Oh, it's
Bill
right up.
Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and right after State Fair, like when it's a big event, pools and money pool. Yeah, now that doesn't again affect him, but
But this year, once it's over,
right. Oh.
They're really good.
Didn't we get this stuff at Harvest Fair?
Yeah.
I think we have some of this in my office. Not that exact style. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I'll bring some down there.
Cool.
For you, because I got boxes. I got boxes at my house. Yeah. Check. Ooh. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2. There we go.
This is a cough button. So when
Yeah.
I know you're new to this, but
Cough, loud fart, whatever it happens to be.
please, not that.
Right? Okay. There we go. Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. We are broadcasting live. We're at the Social House. We are on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. That's where you can find us. And got to say thanks to our friends over there at Quick Trip. Don't forget to stop in at Quick Trip. And whether it's a Pepsi product or Jack Links, whatever it happens to be, you buy it and you get yourself some extra entries by using your Quick Rewards app or your card. And you can get registered to win the brand new 2022 Chevy RS. The Chevy Camaro RS that they're giving away, and you can see it. It's going to be running pace laps up at Road America during the Quick Trip 250 when NASCAR comes to town, coming up in the July 4th weekend. July 3rd, as a matter of fact, was when we give that thing away. But stop in a Quick Trip and see everything that they have to offer. Don't forget, though, get some Pepsi products, get yourself some Jack Links, and that will then, in turn, get you some additional entries into the drawing for that beautiful, brand new 2022 Chevy Camaro SS. Joining us now here at the Social House, our buddy Dan Della is taking some pictures, the owner here, but Josh Quinn is here, and also Leanne Hawk is here from the Bud Pavilion. Thanks, guys, for stopping by. You got to be excited this time of year, right?
So excited. And weather like this,
yeah.
Wednesday Night Live weather.
This is, I was thinking about that the other day because it got hot real fast and it was a little bit sticky, but which brings us all to summertime and you can't wait. But it's like the kickoff of the music festival season. This is it. It's like it's finally here. We can finally get outside. No matter what the weather happens to be, you can finally get outside. But tell us what's new, because last year we did the show out in front the opening night, and you had fences up, and the place was torn up, and they were redoing State Fair Park. This year, my assumption is none of that.
None of that. It looks great. The park is all ready to go. The Bud Pavilion is almost all ready to go. We've been working for the last month to unearth it. It's been packed away for winter, like Christmas ornaments, and then we bring it back out and bring it back to life. And we're just about ready.
I heard new stage and new sound, or what do you got going on? I was seeing some pictures, and it was just like, I'm like, what the hell is that? It was like the whole wall fell down or something.
That's Leanne's thing. She sent me a picture last week where she was head to toe in hazmat gear because they're pulling off all the old soundproofing that's been on the back wall for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we're going to be adding new soundproofing back there, which is really going to improve the band sound for all the patrons, and I'm sure the bands are really going to like it too.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're getting rid of all that.
Yeah, and a little bit of lighting. Our stage and sound crew just came to me with a list of a few things that might help enhance our shows. Mm-hmm. And so we're doing it.
Yeah, it's already cool. I mean, one of the coolest things you can possibly do is stand on one of the picnic tables way out back at night and see all the lights just booming out of the pavilion. Yeah. Let's talk about the music, though. Let's talk about the bands, because that's really what people come to see. You guys are going to kick things off next Wednesday night. Rebel Grace is going to take the stage. Yep. There's a few new ones this year, though. Every year you get a couple of new ones. Gen Z is another one that's coming in.
Gen Z, we had them last year as well.
Right.
But they're great. They're new. They're young. And they are really moving up in the Milwaukee music world. Yeah.
Any new foods this year? Because people do actually eat a little bit when they're imbibing out there.
We have something very special for the fair, but we can't announce that yet.
Oh, okay. I was hoping for some kind of announcement, some kind of breaking news here today.
As soon as we can let you know, you'll be the first.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Talk to me when Leanne leaves. I'll tell you. I'll tell you, it's not a problem.
But we do have 2 new things for the fair, and they are delicious and special and interesting.
Okay. So let's get the details, because we all know about the music is coming. It begins next Wednesday night. So for people that are coming, what do they need to know this year? Did I throw you a fastball? I just got past you?
Are you there?
What's new?
Well, maybe not what's new, but okay.
You're the rules guy.
It's always
I am
been
the rules guy.
It's always been free motorcycle parking.
Yes.
Are we back with that again this year?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are. We have a sponsor that takes care of that.
Okay. So what gates open at 6?
Gates open at 6. Live music starts at 7.
Okay.
Indoor, outdoor. So if it's raining or a little sleety or whatever, we can fit 1,000 people inside very comfortably. So indoor, outdoor, the park is ready, sit on the picnic tables out there, hang out. So many people love to be outside.
And Goose Island Ale House back open again this year, correct?
Yep. We've got eight different beers in there.
How during the fair again this year, you guys going to do all the different keg tappings and such?
Yeah, we do.
Because that was pretty cool last year. You guys were getting lines for people to get there early to get.
Always
lines. There were one-offs.
Yep.
It wasn't like it was something that was going to be
These are really
for the run of the
special
fair.
beers that we all year long we have. We look for, we save, we make deals and try to get them, and then we just have them saved so that we can have something really special to tap every day. One special tapping every day, sometimes 2 a day.
So band perspective wise, Josh, who by the way is also the lead singer of the Cheap Shots, you guys are going to be playing there this year. I've always been told, at least by some of the bands, they love playing some of the big festival stages, but there's something really cool about playing the Bud Pavilion.
Yeah, the Bud Pavilion is incredibly unique for a band to play. The access that you get to the backstage area, the help that you get from the staff, the response from the patrons that come out. What's great about Wednesday Night Live, specifically for bands, is that you're a featured band. You're not just a headliner, but you're a featured band. So people come to see you. The greater thing about Wednesday Night Live is that people come out whether they like the bands or it's not their favorite band, because we go, I'm looking at the list right now. We got country, 80s rock, pop rock, classic rock, country, hip hop, R&B, whatever the Love Monkeys do. We have no idea what John's jumping around.
Everything.
And then we've got a sort of throwback rock and classic rock. So if you're not a country fan, people still come out because of the camaraderie.
Right.
It's a place to gather. It's a place to have some drinks. Let a little bit of the stress of the week let loose on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And people just love coming out to be part of it. It's a spectacle. There's 1,500 people there almost every week. Sometimes there's 2,500. Sometimes there's a little less.
Yeah.
But it's a really special environment. And bands love it because obviously they're the focal point. They get to concentrate on what they do.
Mm-hmm.
There's not so much of the timeline pressures that there is during State Fair when we're trying to finish a band at a certain time and then get the next band up. They can breathe a little bit. It makes their set list better. It makes their performance better. And people have a better time in general because of it.
One of the best shows we ever saw was that pour down rain night you guys had on that Wednesday night. And you didn't take a break, which was fantastic. We're not breaking. Yeah. Well, I won't throw the word in there. We're not breaking. And it was, I remember, because I wasn't riding home. We were Ubering, so we figured, it's raining, we can't go anywhere. What the hell? And we imbibed till we had to crawl, which was great. It was fun.
When it pours, like Leanne said, when it pours, people just come inside.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a little, it's a little crowded in there, but
that was great.
You have plenty of access to all the ice cold beverages that we sell. So, why not come in? So that's why it's an all weather live music event venue. And that's also why bands love it because, quite frankly, when it rains, everybody comes into the pavilion and bands love to see a packed dance floor.
Even during State Fair.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Even during State Fair, it does that too.
Sure.
Absolutely. This year, now I said no construction this year, so it's completely wide open through there
It is.
now. So it's just
no
going to be the
fences,
fences on
no anything. The grass is all grown. It looks great. There's a new wooden sculpture from a stump
right
in front of the Bud
the
Pavilion.
big tree that died.
The big tree died, and they had an artist come in and chainsaw carve a cool sculpture,
which is really cool. Yeah,
and it's still there, so
awesome.
It's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So everything's going to be cleaned up. It's going to be ready to go. It's going to be fabulous, and the dance floor will be all ready to go and mopped, and once you blow all the dust out of there and everything.
So
it is.
So
yeah.
Leanne's been there every day for, I don't know, weeks.
Yeah.
Forever. And, I come in sporadically, but I've been taking pictures and posting them to our Facebook page, which is you can find us on Facebook at Budweiser Pavilion, and also to the website. And so I'm just leaking out little pictures of what they look like. And, it's really cool that people enjoy seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff, because you get to see, and I know in the past we've looked at it and said, oh, we don't want to take pictures with the workbench in the middle and the thing.
Right.
But that's part of the allure, is that you get to see what we're doing there, how we're fixing it up, how we're getting it ready. And then when people show up on the day of, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And everything is ready. The staff is looking sharp and ready to go. And that first one out of the gate is always, either record breaking or close to record breaking attendance, especially if the weather is even halfway agreeable.
Right.
It's always a blast. So
It actually looks like next week is supposed to be back to warm again. It's supposed to be nice again.
We're 6 days away. I don't want to give Leanne any more shudders, but we're 6 days away.
Our staff is dying to get back.
Here's the question: how are you doing on staffing? With everybody else saying we don't have any help, do you guys have help?
We have almost all our help back.
That's
almost
great.
And I don't say our help, our team, because we call it a team. We're like a family, a team. I got an email today from a bartender, and she said, "I can't wait to get back and get out of the winter doldrums and have some fun."
Right.
So, and that's how it is. When everyone else is having fun and we're having fun, it's the magic of what we do at the Bud Pavilion. I really feel that way. We are looking for cooks or anybody who likes to cook.
As long as they're making mini corn dogs, that's all I care about.
we got them for you.
Yeah, we're not making special truffles or anything.
It doesn't have to be a professional cook, but somebody who can be trained and wants to flip a burger or make a sandwich or something like that. We're always looking for that. But otherwise, our staff, once they get in, we keep about 85% of our 100 people from year to year.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's
we have
awesome.
the best people.
And we always say, if anybody's interested in the cook position or even trying to work at the Bud Pavilion, working with us, becoming part of the team, we've got a jobs tab at the bottom of our website, which is budpavilion.com. You can just go there, fill out the little form. It comes right to me and to Leanne, and we look at it. And like we said, we're looking for cooks or even
runners, people who can move the beer from place to place, because we can't get the beer to the bartenders.
I see two potential runners sitting there.
I see them right there too.
Two well-built young men who look like they can move some product for us. But all the job descriptions are on the website as well. So anybody who just wants to come, and it's not a summer-long commitment where you have to say 5 days a week or whatever. It's per event. Yeah. So even if you're looking for a little extra side cash and want to help out and you want to be part of a good team, check it out and come join us.
And you get to hang out, listen to some music, and it's all good. Yeah.
And then you're there too.
And I'm there too. Yeah. Well, I can't wait for next Wednesday night. I mean, but State Fair is always one of my favorite
things. You got your
things
stool and your stogie ready.
Yes. Outside. There's a line right there. I should just have one of those yellow lines with my name on it that says Bill sits here and this is where he is, because my body will be on the inside. My arm will be on the outside.
You see that a lot after I make the no smoking announcement. People will sit right on the border and just hold their cigarette out there like that and give it one.
No, I do the pleasurable cigar and call it a day. So it all gets going for real. Next Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, the gates open. 7 o'clock is when the band hits the stage. Rebel Grace is going to be the first one out of the chute. Free parking for motorcycles, $5 for cars.
That's to be determined by State Fair, and there's some things being worked on, so I can't say a price right now.
Okay, that's what it's always been. So we'll wait and see.
We're working on that to make it the best we can for the customers.
So we'll see.
We're advocating.
That's one of those TBDs you'll find out when you get to the gate. But the admission into the Bud Pavilion is free. Free of charge.
Come on in.
Oh, and we added an extra drink station over by the old souvenir area where the glass case is in the North Bar.
Got a new bar over there.
Wiped it out, put a couple tappers in.
No glass case anymore?
No glass case,
bro. Oh, my goodness.
So if you want a sticker, you'll have to talk to Leanne after the show and see if you can pay $3 for it or whatever it is. Yeah. But they put in a couple tappers there so more people can sit, more people can enjoy the show. So we're just trying to open it up as much as possible.
Perfect. Yep. All right, Josh, Leanne, appreciate it as always. Thanks, and if I don't see you between now and then, we'll see you for sure next Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
There you go. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
Yeah, you'll recognize her.
Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad you are with us. As always, thanks so much hanging out. The Bill Michaels Show, we are broadcasting live. We're at Social House here in Menomonee Falls, Lisbon Road. That's where you can find us. And today, obviously, we're doing many different things. We're getting people that are coming in on motorcycles or ride motorcycles or what have you, that they're getting registered for the motorcycle ride. Our Fisher House motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 4th, and we appreciate that. Thanks to Leanne and Josh of the Budweiser Pavilion giving us the lowdown on what's coming up musically at the State Fair Park beginning next Wednesday night. So thanks to them for being here as well. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery, and we are not pretentious. We are not snooty by any stretch of the imagination in the Midwest or in Wisconsin for that matter. And what Forgotten Fire Winery is all about, as they say, it is fun in a bottle. They mean it. Fun in a bottle. It is made by Wisconsinites for Wisconsinites and those beyond the border. But whether it's there's wine or cider tastings, great live music inside the winery. You can go there for a private event as well. Just call them or get a hold of them. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. That is ForgottenFireWinery.com. Again, ForgottenFireWinery.com. And great people. I'm going to go up a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from today, as a matter of fact. Going to be heading up in that direction and getting my first taste and look of the place. I've tasted the wine, but I've never had a real look, up close and personal look at the place. But heading up there, so I'm really looking forward to it. That is Forgotten Fire Winery. So let's do the. We got Gary on hold. Ben, correct me if I'm
next.
wrong. Oh, okay, he's coming up next. Okay, well, coming up after the top. I believe the top of the hour. going to be talking to Gary. So looking forward to that. Also, we're going to be talking with Jimmy Stein, who covers Alabama. If you're just tuning in, the rhetoric between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher between Alabama and Texas A&M has been venomous over the last 24 hours. Venomous, as they are criticizing both programs and ripping each other for NIL. The name, image, likeness money that's being doled out now by companies and boosters and such for some of the recruits that are coming in, some of the players that are currently there. So we're going to get into that discussion. Also, we'll talk with Zach Heilprin coming up in the final hour of the program. In addition to that, we're also going to be joined live out here by Angie Christensen. She is the president of Fisher House, Wisconsin, and one of the reasons we are here today. So we're going to be talking with Angie coming up here in just a little while as well. Got a lot of just a little stuff to kind of go over here. A lot of people chiming in today. This one is from Jimmy. Jimmy says, hey, Bill, couple of things. What do the Bucs do going into next season? How many changes have to be made? I think they need a shooter and one more fast, athletic defender. Well, preferably you'd like that to be the same person, by the way. You would like one guy that can give you a little bit of defense, but also can give you some shooting prowess from the outside. But then again, how much do you really need if indeed you have Chris Middleton? I mean, that's the other question. So I don't know specifically as to whether or not you have to go find a guy to be a better shooter. I would take a shooter, but you were relying on other guys other than Chris Middleton this year, and you can't plan for injury. All you can do is try to get a little deeper, a little better. And then the big question is going to be obviously with Bobby Portis as well. Did you see what Bobby Portis put up? Bobby Portis basically said, look, I love Milwaukee. I love Wisconsin. I love playing here. I love the fan base. I love my teammates. It's all up to the team, basically meaning upper management. It's all up to the team. So some good stuff coming from Bobby Portis, at least, outwardly posturing wise, to say, I love it here. I don't want to go anywhere. So if I can stay, I want to stay. So I would hate to see him go. Put it that way. I would hate to see him go. But nevertheless, Bobby Portis really, really, really wanting to stay in the Milwaukee area. 877-867-1670, 867-1670, 877-867-1670. This is from Mark, and Mark says that, or not Mark, excuse me. Who's this from? This is from Chuck. Chuck says, hey, guys, the Green Bay Packers, when it comes to their salary cap for next season and the season after, how far over are they going into the next year? Good question. We were talking about the cap going up exponentially, hopefully over the next couple of years, as a matter of fact. When it comes to next year, boy, I tell you what, I don't know. There, as it's right now, they're projected to be over by about $9 million. But that's going to change, obviously. So the 2022 cap totals puts them at 16.7 under the cap as of right now, but everybody's adjusted cap is going to go up next year. But you know what? Let's worry about this season right now. Hey, coming up next, Gary D'Amato is going to join us. We're going to talk some PGA Championship golf. Let's do that. Let's get into that. And by the way, I did see his pants. I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we come back as well. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers got their first extra innings win of the season yesterday when Keston Hiura drilled a 2-run shot in the 11th to beat Atlanta. It was the ending of an impressive comeback for Milwaukee. They actually trailed 4-0 at one point, needed an RBI triple from Colton Wong in the ninth just to get it to extras, and twice had to overcome a 1-run deficit after that. Manager Craig Counsell said it took everyone.
It was just a great team win, and we had a lot of guys who came up clutch and had great at-bats in big spots, and Keston kind of topped it off, but there was a long list of guys that had some really tough at-bats.
Milwaukee ended up taking 2 of 3 from the Braves, winning their second straight series overall. They're getting the day off before welcoming the Nationals tomorrow night for a weekend set.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week. Same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and on weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers and forklift operators for all shifts. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry. Consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply at suttontrans.com.
Ollie Packer's going to be back on the field next Tuesday for the start of OTAs after spending his first 3 years in Green Bay as the offensive line coach. Adam Stenavich transitioning into his new role as offensive coordinator.
It's kind of cool because you get to watch other positions coach. You get to see things from different angles that you really didn't get to see before because I was so busy coaching the offensive line. So it's been fun just working with other positions, sitting in position meetings of other coaches and listening to them go. It's been really beneficial for me just from a holistic standpoint of the offense.
Yesterday, the team announced the contract extension for cornerback Jair Alexander, reportedly 4 years, $84 million, includes a $30 million signing bonus. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, Jack Heil, print.
Welcome back to the program, hour number 3 as we start the backside of the show. We are broadcasting the Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We are here at Social House, Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls, and it's the grand reopening, as today is the grand reopening, and all throughout the rest of the weekend. The reason we are here is because this weekend, a portion of the proceeds go to Fisher House, Wisconsin. We got our guys from Burn Pit Barbecue, barbecue sauces that are on site. And by the way, if you want to try them or buy them, go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. But we're here for the grand reopening. As you were looking over on the Bud Light live stream, you're looking live now at the new addition to Social House. And also they've got the outside patio as well that you can sit outside on now that is fully open. And they're just kind of putting out some of the finishing touches on the place, but more so than anything, the tap takeover from our friends at Beechwood and our friends at Bud Light and many of the beers and such that they serve. The tap takeover this weekend, a portion of the proceeds off the taps this weekend goes to Fisher House, Wisconsin, helping military members, veterans, and their families. And a portion of the donation comes from tips as well. And there's a donation jar and so many different things that you can be a part of this. So we can't say thanks enough to all of you who are coming out, whether it's today or tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday. And don't forget, tip heavy and buy the tappers. Try a few new things. And you can help out military veterans, members, and their families along the way as well. So really, really good stuff there. 877-867-1670. If you haven't seen it already, John Daly, as Ben alluded to a little earlier, John Daly out on the golf course today, and I am going to throw the picture out there from the PGA Tour, who posted this just a little while ago regarding John Daly. You got to see it. If you haven't seen it already, it's awesome. As Ben said, he feels as if he's taken an acid trip by seeing John Daly's pants. There it is. I just retweeted it off of the PGA Tour's Twitter feed. You can follow me over there at Bill_Michaels. Absolutely awesome. Look at his pants. Oh my God, they're the like Mexican skull tequila pants, I guess is the best way you can put it. Fantastic stuff. Hey, our buddy Gary D'Amato from Gulf, Wisconsin on hold. Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Bill. How are you?
Doing extremely well. So let's start off with, are you a little surprised that John Daly was near the top of the leaderboard as things got underway today?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw, I called up the leaderboard early in the morning and saw he was 2 under after a couple of holes, and I thought, holy cow. But, you know, anything can happen with John. I think the last tournament he entered, he was in contention and made a couple double bogeys and didn't sign a scorecard and was disqualified. So, it's kind of fun to see his name on the leaderboard at a major championship again. It's been a while.
Let's start with the big trio that everybody was talking about: Jordan Spieth, Tiger Woods, and Rory McIlroy. Now, Rory was leading the tournament last I checked. I don't know if the leaderboard has changed since then, but Tiger, even Jordan Spieth, a few shots back as well. But talk about that trio and what this means for Tiger from what we saw over at Augusta during the Masters to where he is today.
Yeah, it's a great threesome because, this means a lot to all three of those guys. I mean, Rory and Jordan haven't won majors in a long time. And obviously Tiger on the comeback trail. I thought this might be a good week for him because Augusta National is a very, very tough walk. And he shot a very good first round there, 71, and then made the cut, and then really fatigued on the weekend. You could tell that the course got to him, and he shot a couple 78s. This course isn't nearly as hilly. There's a big hill, going down 1 and going up 18. But other than that, it's not that hard to walk. So, and plus he's had a couple months to get in better shape, to get his leg feeling better. So I expected him to play, pretty well here this weekend. So, whatever he does won't surprise me.
I know Rory is right now 5 under, and Tiger and Jordan both 2 over, so they're 7 shots back. But is that both of those guys though? Rory and Jordan have had a ton of success in their career. It's not like all the eyes are upon Tiger in that particular group, even though everybody's watching upon his return. But there really isn't much pressure in that group, is there?
Well, Jordan has played really well this year. He was in a slump. He fell down to like number 92 in the world, and he's back up in the top 10 now. His putter isn't what it used to be, but he's hitting the ball better than he ever probably has in his career. So if he can get the putter going, he definitely could contend here this week. And Rory is trying to win a major for the first time since 14? I guess it's been like 7 or 8 years since he won his last major. So, there's some self-imposed pressure on those guys, certainly.
Because the last time we saw Southern Hills be a major, Tiger won it. But who else has a game that is adaptable to this course that would give them an advantage?
I really like Xander Schauffele going into this major. He hasn't won one yet. He's played really, really good this year. He's played good for a number of years now, but he just hasn't been able to close the deal in a major. I think he first sort of surfaced at Erin Hills when he had a really good U.S. Open back in 2017. And I really liked his chances going in this week. I think he's 1 or 2 under. And Thursday, it doesn't mean anything. You're just trying not to shoot yourself out of it on Thursday. Just swing around par, 1 under is fine on the first day. And Will Zalatoris is another name. He had a great Masters last year. Really hasn't done much since, but and then obviously Scotty Scheffler, probably the favorite going in because of the year he's had, winning 4 times. So those are some names to watch for sure, Bill.
Golf itself, obviously putting a major in every month now has changed the look of golf. And do you ever see, like, say, Whistling getting another major? Gary, I know that was one of the things when we got to the PGA Championship, moving it up and what the weather would be like here in Wisconsin this weekend. It's going to be a little bit cold, but cooler, but it's not going to be cold. It's not going to be nasty. Do you ever see them getting it back to Whistling Straits anytime soon?
I would never say never, but I think the PGA has become a long shot because of the time of year now. And it's not because of the weather. It's not because they might face cold days or rainy days, because those guys can play in anything. It's more that the course isn't ready yet. It's just come out of winter. The course, Whistling Straits, has probably been open when the PGA, this week it's only been open a few weeks. So the course isn't ready for a major championship. The players, they can play in anything. They prefer not to play in 40 degrees and rain and wind, but they can. So I think the PGA is a long shot. U.S. Open, definitely a long shot. I mean, that's scheduled out now, 25 years with just a couple exceptions. I know Mr. Kohler was really interested in getting the Tour Championship, but Coca-Cola is the main sponsor of the Tour Championship. So as long as Coke is the sponsor, it's going to be in Atlanta. Now, if they would ever switch title sponsors and Kohler would pitch for a title sponsor for the Tour Championship, I think they'd grab that one in a heartbeat. It's not a major, but it's a big one.
What do you see? Do you see Erin Hills getting one anytime soon?
Erin Hills has the U.S. Mid-Am this year, and they've got the U.S. Women's Open in 2025. And I think if the Women's Open goes really well, I think they'd be on a short list again for courses to get one. But the problem is, USD is going to these rotation courses now: Pinehurst, Pebble Beach, Shinnecock, and they're scheduling numerous U.S. Opens at these courses now. So, I think there's only room for like one sort of odd course every 8 or 10 years to get an Open. And I think Erin Hills would be in that conversation, but it might be a long time. I mean, it might be 8, 10, 12, 15 years before they get another U.S. Open. but I think they've got a really good chance to get one.
Talking with Gary D'Amato of Golf Wisconsin. You can read his stuff there. So, Gary, let me ask you, I want to go back to John Daly for a second, because obviously there's a lot of talk about his attire today, and he's kind of a caricature within himself.
Yeah.
But give me your thoughts on his career, because I've always said I think had he was a guy that just didn't care. He cared about winning early on and such, but you know, he had won and was a major champion and just had his own vices. And rather than say, okay, I got to do everything and anything I can to be physically fit and to kind of take it to the next level with all these other guys, he just said, you know what, I'm just going to play golf and enjoy it. I really don't care. How good was John Daly in his heyday?
As good as anybody. I mean, you could really say he underachieved. He won 2 major championships, a PGA and a British Open. He, you know, mastered Augusta National. Should have been just tailor-made for that guy, but he never won there. You know, so it's hard to say a guy who's won 2 majors is underachieved, but I think when he was in his 20s and early 30s, he had as much talent as anybody on the planet. And, you know, it's not that he didn't care. It's that I think, you know, he's got some excesses in his life. You know, he's had problems with drinking. He's had problems with, you know, all the vices you can think of, really. So I think that's what's, you know, what sort of held him back. He's had a good career. I think he's blown through a lot of money. But I think he's probably, most people would say he's underachieved based on his talent, based on how far he hit it. And a very, very underrated short game. Really good chipper and putter of the ball.
Yeah, I was telling a story yesterday on the air that I never forgot, the first PGA Championship at Whistling, and how he's, you know, knocking down a cigarette pretty much per hole, and he was covering them up and tossing them into the sand traps and covering them up with sand and telling people not to tell anybody. And he was quite the character to follow on the first couple of days of that tournament. He was hilarious. How good is his kid?
You know, his kid, I think, is at Arkansas. They used to call him Little John, but now he's big enough that they don't call him Little John anymore. Really good. Like his dad, though, streaky. You know, when Big John got it going, he could really shoot numbers and win tournaments, and then he'd disappear for long stretches. I think his son is a little bit like that, pretty streaky, can really play well for stretches and then disappears. But you know, a lot of players are like that, and all it takes on the PGA Tour is to have, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 really good weeks, and you don't have to do anything the rest of the year, and you've made $1 million.
Yeah, no doubt. Gary, always a pleasure to talk to you. So who's your favorite in this one? Who you got?
You know, I picked Spieth or Schauffele going in. So now that Spieth's a couple over, I'll stick with Schauffele. I think he's going to have a really good. I think he's due, and I think he's going to have a good week.
He is. He's hanging out right in there. As a matter of fact, only 3 shots off the pace behind Rory at this point. Gary, always a pleasure, buddy. I appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Sounds good, Bill. Thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely. There you go. That is Gary D'Amato, longtime writer for the Journal Sentinel, golf writer. You can read his stuff at Golf Wisconsin as well. By the way, for the PGA Championship, Rory McIlroy right now on top of the leaderboard, 5 under. Schauffele, like he had stated, sitting at 2 under right now. You've got Dean Burmester at 3 under par, along with Will Zalatoris. He is also 3 under. Tom Hodge there, the same. I got a host of guys at 2 under, including like Stuart Sink. Tony Finau at 1 under for the day after 15. There's Kevin Na also at 1 under. Then you start to go down that list, and you get to Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, both of those guys sitting at 2 over par right now. And John Daly finished the day after starting off relatively hot, and he was 3rd on the leaderboard. Has fallen off, and he is now finished at 2 over par today. So Lee Westwood at 1 under, or excuse me, at 1 over. Jason Duffner the same. Hideki Matsuyama at 1 over as well. And it kind of goes on from there. Justin Rose at even par, and some of the other names you may recognize. So there you have it. That is the update for the PGA Championship. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pindell, a manufacturing company based right here in Wisconsin, in New Berlin, Wisconsin, as a matter of fact. If you're a company looking to work with a tremendous precision machining company, Pindell's the way to go. Or if you're looking for a great career or a career for a company that is overpaying and wanting to give you good benefits and wanting to give you the knowledge to advance your career, go to Pindell, Pindel. That is Pindell.com. Again, Pindell.com. We are broadcasting live at the Social House here on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls, and all the proceeds, a portion of the proceeds, I should say, of this weekend's sales, of the tap takeover, and some of the donations and such, go to Fisher House, Wisconsin, which is the reason we are here. We're going to hear from the president of Fisher House coming up a little bit later on, about an hour and 15 minutes from now. And we'll hear a little bit more about the Fisher House and that mission. You know a lot of it from me, but we'll bring in the president of the Fisher House, Angie Christensen, coming up here a little bit later on. So stay tuned for that. But thanks to everybody for not only showing up today for lunch and such, but everybody that comes in all weekend long and makes a donation and such. It all goes to military members, their families, and veterans as well. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show, and it's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina, and this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only 1 or 2 lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and Impervia, Pella's exclusive never rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. Then there's financing to fit any budget. And now, up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Hella now? Pay later. Hella now. Pay
Court's
later.
adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Bill Michaels Show, we continue on. Thanks so much to everybody for coming out. Not only people that are here that are enjoying the food and enjoying the beverages, so to speak, but also for the hospitality of the staff and the management. Obviously, Dan Della, we're here for the grand reopening of Social House, but also, and more so, the fact that a portion of the proceeds from the weekend goes to Fisher House, Wisconsin, which is the home away from home for military members and veterans' families when their loved one is getting treatment at the VA and they need to be with them. We take care of that. We house them and put them up and do it all cost free. So that's why Fisher House is so important, not to people in Milwaukee, but to people outside. If you're coming from Eau Claire, from Green Bay, from California, doesn't matter. That house can host you if indeed you need it. This portion of the program also being brought to you by our friends at WABAM, W-A-B-A-M. Go to getwabam.com. That is getwabam.com for all their products, whether it's cleaning products, industrial cleaning products, or if you're like a car guy or girl, motorcycle rider, if you're a boater, they've got products for everybody. As a matter of fact, you can pick up some of those products by going into Wisconsin Harley-Davidson right next to the parts counter. I see them over there now as well. They are growing. Matt Kenseth, who's about to be the NASCAR Hall of Famer, driving the WABAM car around the state of Wisconsin as well. But you can see everything they have to offer. Go to getwabam.com. That's getwabam, W-A-B-A-M, getwabam.com. That's getwabam.com. There you go. A couple of different things that we wanted to get to. This one is from Tom. Tom says, with Jair Alexander's contract being so large next year, do you think they redo that contract? As the salary cap is expected to go up, but I don't know how much. I'm going to say that they're going to kind of kick the can down the road. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's guaranteed in contracts is the guaranteed money. The salary you can manipulate, but the guaranteed money you can't. You have to pay that. So they can do anything they want to do, much like we saw this year. They were $70 million over the cap, and they had to cut salary to redo contracts. David Bakhtiari, they redid Preston Smith. They brought back Devondre Campbell. They made contracts to where the base salary, Aaron Rodgers, they made contracts to where the base salary was lower. So it actually shows lower on the cap hit. But eventually the guaranteed money, it all has to be paid. It's not like you don't pay that. You can just kick it down the road and whatever. You got to pay it eventually. And you don't want to go too far because the longevity of certain players, running backs, linemen, such, it can change rather quickly. So you don't want to be paying a guy when either one, he's no longer with your team and it's an exorbitant amount of money, but you want to be able to pay them while they still have viability and not have a bunch of dead cap money floating around that's going to hamstring your club. So, yeah, they can do whatever they want, but it's how far down the road you want to kick that can monetarily to where you can still afford to put a good team on the field. Now, I've said for a while now that the Packers are operating, to me anyway, it looks like, within a 2 to 3 year window, where a lot of this money is going to come due in the next couple of years. And then after that, and pretty much after the Aaron Rodgers contract runs its course, then things begin to change. Then you're probably, unless you fall ass backwards into another above average quarterback, that's when most likely your rebuild is going to begin. So that's why, we talked yesterday about the pressure to who has the most pressure on them as a quarterback in the National Football League. Who is that going to be? When you look at that and you think about the quarterbacks that are out there, we talked about Russell Wilson obviously changing teams, going from Seattle to Denver. Aaron Rodgers, I think, has the most to prove when it comes to winning this season as far as pressure goes, by far. For everything that's gone on, dating all the way back to the day before the draft last year, to the turmoil going into training camp, to the thought in the offseason about what he would or wouldn't do, to the loss of Devontae Adams, to the loss of MVS, to the loss of Equanimeous St. Brown, bringing in Sammy Watkins, changing things around. What can they do? What he needs to do? Because it really, as the window of opportunity also begins to close on the career, and needing, reputation-wise, I guess, or for, lore-wise, needing that second Super Bowl, I think he's got a ton of pressure on him. Like I mentioned, Russell Wilson, yes, to get back because Denver believes that they're ready to go and they believe they're only a quarterback away, and they made the move to bring him in. Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, going out and spending the money they did, changing head coaches, getting Devontae Adams. I think his deal is a big deal. You look at a guy like Kyler Murray, who's had such an offseason of being very outspoken about his contract and wanting more money, wanting to be paid, thinking that he needs the extension now rather than later. And he really hasn't proved himself. He's played well, but he hasn't played well consistently. He's played well for 4, 5, 6, 7 games, and then all of a sudden the second half of the season, his performance drops off. Now, granted, this year, the middle of the season was done in a little bit by injury, but for the most part, he did not perform the way they wanted him to specifically down the stretch. Dak Prescott, another one that needs to have a big season. He's got a lot of pressure on him. There's pressure about talking about if they don't get to a Super Bowl that Mike McCarthy's going to be on his way out. Sean Payton or someone else could be on their way in, as if Mike McCarthy, after signing I think it was a 4 or 5 year deal, suddenly after only a couple of years into this is looking at the possibility of losing his job. So there's a lot of pressure there in Dallas, as there always is, we know, but there's a lot of pressure there. Tom Brady coming back and saying he wants to play again, kind of trying to run it back for another year. The rumors about him having a hand in, Bruce Arians stepping down as the head coach. So all of that going on. Then, you look at Lamar Jackson. He had an injury-plagued season last year, had fallen off. People were talking about whether or not, and I've said it too, whether or not he's actually a good quarterback or his one-year wonder as an MVP was a fluke. So he needs a good year. So there's some pressure. Matthew Stafford trying to repeat and try to do it again and run it back, Then obviously what they have going on, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo or we'll see what happens out there with their quarterback situation, but they're trying to have a big year again out in San Francisco to try to get back. So there's some quarterbacks that have a lot of pressure, but I don't think anybody has more pressure on them than Aaron Rodgers does going into this season. I think they're in a 2 to 3 year window for him to get there. As we know, the clock is ticking on the end of the career of Aaron Rodgers. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. When we come back, we're going to talk with Jimmy Stein. Jimmy Stein's going to be joining us, and if you don't know the name, Jimmy Stein is going to be talking to us about what's going on right now. He covers Alabama and covers Alabama football, but if you have not heard the rhetoric between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher of Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher basically saying somebody needs to slap Nick Saban, should have slapped Nick Saban because of the deeds that he's done in the past. If anybody, quote, knows him and his program, about how dirty he is. Nick Saban complaining about the NIL, basically saying that Texas A&M paid for all their players and threw just a lot of shade at the Texas A&M program. I mean, it's gotten really heated. No holds bar for the most part over the last 24 hours. So we're going to talk with Jimmy Stein, who covers Alabama football, when we come back. Stay tuned for that. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And if you are looking for new windows, patio doors, an entry door system, whatever it happens to be, when you're talking about the hometown team year-round, that's our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They get it done. They have pretty much a window and a budget for everybody, and financing and such that goes along with it. And they try to get it done in many different ways. And right now, you can choose. You can choose some great financing to fit any budget, or $2,500 off an installed patio door system, or up to $3,000 off of an installed entry door system. But you can't do anything if you don't call and you don't get a hold of them. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. That's Gina Della from Pella and all the people over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, whether it's Green Bay, Madison, Milwaukee, anywhere in between, all throughout the great state. Just go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Next, we're going to talk with Jimmy Stein, covers Alabama football. Boy, is there being some shade thrown down there. Nick Saban had some things to say, and also Jimbo Fisher had things to say. Holy mackerel, it's getting ugly. Love it. It's great for us. We're going to talk about it coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Thunder is back, and you don't want to miss it. June 30th through July 3rd. It's the NASCAR Cup Quick Trip 250 and the Xfinity Series Henry 180. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I don't cheat and I don't lie. So I learned that when I was a kid. If you did, the old man slapped you side of the head. Maybe somebody should have slapped him.
Wow, those are the words of Jimbo Fisher talking about Nick Saban. Welcome back to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. We are broadcasting live from the Social House. We are here on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls, but to the south, holy mackerel, the barbs that are going back and forth and the accusations that are going back and forth, and man, oh man, it is getting a little about as tense as I've heard it and about as unadulterated as I've heard it in a long time. And joining us now on the hotline is Jimmy Stein. Jimmy covers Alabama football, and he's you can find him at QB_country down there. Jimmy, how you doing?
Doing well. Been a later night and early morning than I assumed for middle of May.
So give me your assessment of all of this, first and foremost, just kind of what you're seeing up close and personal.
Right. Well, first of all, this isn't the first time that Nick Saban has basically most of what Nick Saban was saying last night, I felt, was directed at the NCAA, directed at the landscape of college football. And then he specifically used examples of what he's talking about by naming Texas A&M and even to some extent Jackson State and Deion Sanders and even Miami basketball. But really, this was not the first time Nick Saban has complained about the lack of uniformity and how schools across the country are implementing their NIL programs. And he got pretty specific about Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher, and obviously Coach Fisher wasn't too pleased with that, although a lot of Coach Fisher's response in his press conference this morning seemed a little over the top in the sense that I listened many times to Coach Saban's comments last night. He did not say that Texas A&M violated NCAA rules, broke laws. He was basically saying that Texas A&M used NIL as a way to put together the number one recruiting class in the country, and that the leadership in college football needs to take a look at how NIL is being used and whether this is good or not for the game. But Jimbo Fisher obviously didn't take the comments the same way. Let's
start with the validity of the NIL and what's going on. So we know that obviously name, image, likeness, student athletes can capitalize that. We're now seeing contracts being given to high schoolers. So I said when they decided on it, they were opening a Pandora's box. The NCAA didn't want to give up the money, so it went to other means, and now you can't put it back in the horse, as my dad used to say, living on the farm. So where is this headed? How much of a Pandora's box have they opened?
Right. Well, like you said, the toothpaste isn't going back in the tube now. I think, there's a lot of confusion out there because there is no uniformity or rules. But look, I think what Coach Saban is specifically complaining about is there's really two different ways right now these college athletes are getting NIL money. One is through what I would call traditional means, no different than professional athletes do it. For instance, Bryce Young, Alabama's Heisman Trophy winning quarterback last summer, before he was the starting quarterback at Alabama, right when the NIL stuff was finally allowed and wasn't going to be a violation, he retained an agent, which is completely legal. And his agent went about putting together NIL deals for Bryce, autographs, commercials, ads, social media. And Bryce famously collected as much as $1 million or more in NIL deals through an agent. And that is what I would call the traditional method of how athletes have always earned money via NIL. And Nick Saban is completely fine. He has said repeatedly, hey, this is fine. This is the way it should be done. It's okay. College athletes should be able to earn money like this, just like professional athletes do. And this is okay. Well, what's happened is, when you give these programs an inch, they take a mile, everyone included. So what's happened is all of these schools have allowed third-party entities called collectives to form, which are basically just boosters and companies that are friendly to a particular program, whether it's Wisconsin or Penn State or whether it's Alabama or Texas A&M. These collectives then raise money from boosters and from companies, and work with kids at a particular school to make sure that these kids are getting some level of NIL money so that they're all getting something. And it's these collectives that have created the big problem. And by that, what I mean, there's no uniform rules as to who gets what. So I'm just making up these figures, but let's say Texas A&M's collective is paying $200,000 to each and every kid, whereas maybe Alabama's is paying $40,000 to each and every kid, or Wisconsin is paying $10,000 to each and every kid, or 80, whatever the figure is. But everyone's doing it a little differently. And it's that's created this, I think Coach Saban used the word parity last week, or the lack of parity. Everyone's doing it differently. And it's all apparently legal, but not everyone is convinced that this is nothing but a thinly disguised pay-for-play scheme. Hey, sign here, get this check. You don't have to do anything, but sign here with this school, and you get X amount of money. And some are saying, hey, that's just pay-for-play. That has nothing to do with selling your name, image, and likeness rights.
Talking with Jimmy Stein, covering Alabama football. You can find him on Twitter at QB_country. So going back to that, and we both talked about once this is out, that you can't, stop it. You just got to figure out a way to regulate it. So my question then becomes, because the NCAA fought this, and then they ended up losing. So everything just kind of squished through their fingers. Now you're going to try to wrap your arms back around it. One, I don't know how you do that. And two, with the threats of the Power Five leaving and saying, hey, we don't need you. We got our own. We can do our own thing. Don't worry about it. We'll talk to you later. Is the NCAA kind of powerless at this point?
It's definitely what it feels like. And I think that's exactly why you're seeing what you're seeing between the fighting between Coach Saban and Coach Fisher, is that there's no police. There's no policing of it. There's no real rules. Notice that as much as Coach Saban pointed the finger at Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M last night, he did not specifically say that Jimbo Fisher or Texas A&M violated NCAA rules or any sort of state or federal legislation, or that they broke the law or even cheated. He just said Texas A&M bought their recruiting class, and apparently you can do that now. Coach Saban doesn't think it's right. I think a lot of coaches would agree with him, but there isn't a set of rules, and the rules that are there don't appear to be enforced. Now, the NCAA did say in the past 2 to 3 weeks, hey, we've been quiet on this, but don't think that we're not watching what's going on. And some of what may be going on may be against the rules. Don't think that you won't be punished if you've been actually violating NCAA rules. And that's what the NCAA said. But a lot of people tend to think that they're really toothless when it comes to this, and there probably isn't some sort of ramifications.
Now, what Jimbo Fisher had to say versus what Nick Saban actually had to say, insinuating that Nick Saban's as dirty gets, and that's without saying it. He said it, and he just didn't give you the details. So my question is, if that's the case, first of all, does that raise eyes from the NCAA? Secondly, would there be any kind of an investigation, or are they going to go to him to say, what specifically are you talking about? Does this then start to throw barbs at programs back and forth? I mean, does this end with rhetoric, or is there more substance to this that you're thinking?
There would have to be, I think, for the NCAA to be involved, there would have to be more specificity of allegations. I don't think the NCAA is going to come flying down to College Station to talk to Jimbo because he said, hey, in the past, this guy's cheated. Ask anyone. I think if he disclosed to the NCAA specific information as to a player or how this happened or what happened, they would be interested. But his allegations were not specific at all. And this is not the first time that Jimbo Fisher has said something like this. Right after signing day, after Texas A&M signed 7 5-stars and the highest rated recruiting class of all time, there was a lot of comments right around signing day in February, not just by Nick Saban. And Jimbo Fisher was very defensive about it at that time. And when told that Nick hinted that coaches like Nick Saban shouldn't be throwing their rocks in their glass houses, so that must be his go-to, defense. Hey, well, what about what you do, as opposed to talking about how A&M put that class together.
Mm-hmm. Real quick before I let you go, so we were talking about you can't put it back in the horse, and you're going to have to end up regulating in some way, shape, or form. What does the NCAA do? I mean, eventually, after we see this over the next year or two or three, I mean, at what would be the tipping point when we actually see a team that is recruited via money rather than, or because the portal has become so big, we see kids that get deals. They'll go to one school, they'll wear that deal out to go to the next school. They'll wear that. At what point do we see this begin to, where the NCAA has to wrap their arms around it because of what's going on?
It's a very complicated question involving a lot of moving parts. I think there's going to be a lot of opinions and maybe even a lot of solutions that probably the NCAA is going to find none of them palatable, and all the coaches are going to disagree on what should be done. But it all starts with the idea that there needs to be some level of uniformity. The sport is not going to survive or do well at all when everyone's playing by different rules. And if it's perfectly legal for Texas A&M to use a dollar figure, it's perfectly legal for them to pay $250,000 to each kid who signs. And meanwhile, the University of Illinois can only pay $7,500 to each kid that signs. And Illinois is put at a distinct competitive disadvantage. And the NCAA has never operated that way in the past. Everyone's always had the same number of scholarships, the same number of meals you can provide, the same number of hours you can practice each week. The rules themselves have been uniform. If the rules now allow one school to pay a ton and another school paying very little, when you don't have that uniformity of rules, it would be very similar to an NFL where the Dallas Cowboys can pay an unlimited amount of money to their players, whereas maybe the Packers would pay significantly less, and we know what would happen through free agency if that was the case. So I think everyone agrees that the rules need to be the same for everyone. Now, what are those rules? That's probably going to take someone a lot more intelligent than I am.
Jimmy, great stuff. I appreciate it. And if we hear more rhetoric, we're going to call you again. But thanks for joining us for a couple of minutes, okay?
Oh, thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate it, pal. There you go. Jimmy Stein covering Alabama football at QB_country is where you can find him. And two distinct discussions, one being the NIL and what eventually is going to happen. And then secondly, the rhetoric between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher and the accusations being kind of thrown back and forth, the barbs, if you will. Jimbo Fisher coming out just swinging, short of giving details as to what he feels is the ineptitude or the indiscretions in the Alabama football program. But, man, it got heated in the last 24 hours. That's for sure. Really about the last 12, 14 hours. That's for sure, in case you haven't heard it already. This portion of the program, brought to you by our friends at MKE Brewing, a part of the Tap Takeover out here, whether it's an outboard or one of the other beers that MKE brews up. You can swing by out here at the Social House on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls, and get one of those, or go to MKE Brewing. Stop downtown, and whether it's before or after a Brewers game, maybe an Admirals game. Admirals still in the postseason, which congratulations to them. They got a big one coming up against the Wolves, the Chicago Wolves, this coming weekend. You can stop down to MKE. They have summer brews coming out. They got all kinds of things happening, and they are the host where the starting point is for our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 4th. We're raising money for Fisher House, Wisconsin, for veterans, military members, and their families. So thanks to MK Brewing for being a part of it as well. Stay tuned. We're broadcasting live here at the Social House, HAUS, on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls, and at Tap Takeover out here. They've got a portion of the proceeds this week and also going to Fisher House, Wisconsin. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. Hopefully you're enjoying your day. I know we are. Whenever you get a chance to do the show in a bar, man, it's fantastic. And this one's just reopening as the grand reopening begins today for the entire weekend here at Social House on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls. The beautiful new addition, which if you're watching on the Bud Light live stream, you can see. Appreciate everybody that's joined the program today, but you can see that over on the Bud Light live stream, and a portion of the proceeds from the entire weekend go to Fisher House, Wisconsin. So if you're going to stop by, get yourself something to eat, but get some of the tappers, whether it's an outboard, whether it's raised grain, whatever it happens to be, all the different, you got Bud Light, the House Light as well. So many, the Solid Gold. There's so many different tappers out here, but get them, and a portion of those proceeds go directly to Fisher House, Wisconsin. So helping military members, veterans, and their families. And we can't say thanks enough to the gang here at the Social House for getting the job done. We were talking earlier about Phil Mickelson, and Ben, I don't know if you saw this, but Dave Stockton, he won the PGA Championship back in 1970. I think it was 76 as well. Said the Champions Dinner was held earlier this week, and about a dozen, former PGA champions, including Rory McIlroy and Colin Morikawa, they went to the dinner. And Stockton said, now remember, Rory McIlroy said it's a shame, it's sad, Phil belongs here, he should be here. Stockton says differently. Says, yeah, it was a fun evening, and Phil wasn't missed. I think Phil would have been a big distraction whether he was here or not. The story here is this week, and it's the PGA and not Phil Mickelson. And very emphatic. He didn't want to get into many more details beyond that, but some of the things that Phil said regarding the PGA, regarding the Saudis and such, and the alternative league that is starting there. We know that they offered Jack Nicklaus to be the face of that league over in Saudi Arabia. They offered him $100 million, and he turned it down. And Stockton basically said, yeah, Phil wasn't missed. We didn't need him. Didn't need him here. Mickelson, the 6-time major champion, informed the PGA that he was not going to play and defend his PGA championship earlier. He became golf's oldest major champion at the age of 50 by winning at Kiawah Island in South Carolina last year. And Mickelson, who also won the 2005 PGA championship, that was at Baltusrol in New Jersey. He hasn't played in a tour event since late January after his controversial comments about the PGA Tour and about Saudi Arabian financiers of the breakaway LIV Golf Invitational Series were published by Alan Shipnuck. And the book that came out, and the excerpts of the book, and some other thought is that with the new book coming out, that there is going to be more dirt, if you will, on Phil Mickelson, and he's trying to avoid all of that as well. But anyway, Stockton not happy with Phil and said, yeah, he wasn't missed. We didn't need him. No big deal. So on one hand, you got some people saying, yeah, we'd love to have him. On others, no. Didn't, and that's what I said. You either love Phil or you hate him. There's not a lot of in between. Phil's been outspoken. He's been at times abrasive to not only fans and media, but to those on tour. Some he obviously has his inner circle, and they like him a lot. But others, not so much. Not so much. Coming up after the top of the hour, our final hour of the program, I'm going to talk with Zach Heilprin. A little Wisconsin collegiate talk, as we already talked a little bit about Alabama and the barbs being thrown back and forth between Alabama, Nick Saban, and Jimbo Fisher, and the Texas A&M program. We'll talk more of the effect on all of this regarding the Wisconsin program as well. Bob, by the way, says over on the Bud Light live stream, listening to your conversation about college pay for play, I suspect there's going to be an issue that women's sports should get an equal price of that pie eventually, similar to the settlement with the women's soccer team. And I don't disagree with equal pay. Great quote or great thought, Bob, but I don't know. I don't know what it's going to equate to. I really don't. I don't know whether it's going to be equal pay for play all the way across the board, or just for those that bring in a certain. It's an NIL deal. It's for name, image, and likeness. And if your name and image and likeness don't generate as much money on one end versus another, then I don't know how that's going to eventually kind of shake out, because the colleges aren't paying it, but others around the colleges are. So I don't know. We'll see if there's going to be uniformity. It's a great question. It's just another one of the hidden landmines that they're going to have to kind of walk through among all of this. Coming up next, Zach Heilprin. We're going to talk some Wisconsin athletics and some of this NIL stuff when we come back. Stay tuned. We got another hour of the Bill Michaels Show, broadcasting live out here at the Social House, HAUS on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers got their first extra innings win of the season yesterday when Keston Hiura drilled a 2-run shot in the 11th to beat Atlanta. It was the ending of an impressive comeback for Milwaukee. They actually trailed 4-0 at one point. Needed an RBI triple from Colton Wong in the ninth just to get it to extras, and twice had to overcome a 1-run deficit after that. Manager Craig Counsell said it took everyone.
It was just a great team win, and we had a lot of guys who came up clutch and had great at-bats in big spots, and Keston kind of topped it off, but there was a long list of guys that had some really tough at-bats.
Milwaukee ended up taking 2 of 3 from the Braves, winning their second straight series overall. They're getting the day off before welcoming the Nationals tomorrow night for a weekend set.
Where can you learn the skills to take care of yourself and your family? An apprenticeship in construction. Imagine earning money while you learn and getting paid to go to class and graduating without big college debt. You can explore 11 different trades. To get started as an apprentice, visit buildyourcareerwi.org or search for ABC of Wisconsin online.
Only Packers can be back on the field next Tuesday for the start of OTAs. After spending his first 3 years in Green Bay as the offensive line coach, Adam Stenavich transitioning into his new role as offensive coordinator.
It's kind of cool because you get to watch other positions coach. You get to see things from different angles that you really didn't get to see before because I was so busy coaching the offensive line. So it's been fun just working with other positions, sitting in position meetings of other coaches and listening to them go. It's been really beneficial for me just from a holistic standpoint of the offense.
Yesterday, the team announced the contract extension for cornerback Jair Alexander, reportedly 4 years, $84 million, includes a $30 million signing bonus. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, Zach Heilprin.
Welcome, final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. We are glad you're here with us. Good to be with you today. We are broadcasting live. We're here at the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls, and a little bit of drizzle going on outside, but that's okay. It's going to clear up. We're going to have a good day today and enjoy ourselves, and they're out here doing a tap takeover and raising money for Fisher House, Wisconsin, for veterans, for military members, their families at a time of need. We take care of that, so we're here for that today, and also the grand reopening. And this is the first of our 4 stops to get people pre-registered for the motorcycle ride. You can today, we're giving away some prizes. So today, if you register for the motorcycle ride today, you can win yourself a gift card along the way. So we're doing that today. So obviously, there's going to be prize packages for all of those who pre-register, on the day of the ride. But for today only, those who only register today, we are giving away a $50 gift card as well. So there you have it. That being said, let's go to the phone and talk to our buddy Zach Heilprin, sports director at WOZN out in Madison. Zach, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, Bill.
So you heard the comments from Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher and the tete-a-tete back and forth and the accusations over, the NIL stuff. How do you think this NIL situation, because I heard your discussion with Greg Gard about how they don't want to dive into that pool really, but if things continue down that path, they might eventually have to. Give me your thoughts on this NIL stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Wild West at this point. I mean, everyone seems to be operating with on different rules in different states, and some collectives are doing the pay for play, and some aren't willing to jump into that, and some schools haven't at all, like Wisconsin to this point. I think when it comes to Wisconsin, I think that's probably what people care about. I don't envision them ever being, and Greg Gard said it, I don't envision them ever being in this race for the highest paid guys. I don't envision them ever putting all the big types of money collective-wise, not Wisconsin themselves, but in a collective, that they're ever going to be doing that type of thing. So I think anybody that is hoping for that to happen with Wisconsin, it's probably not. I also think it's hilarious that the NCAA is now coming and trying to somehow legislate or regulate some of these collectives. Like, it's not going to work. We've seen the NCAA go up against major, we've seen the NCAA try and put the clamps on it. They've been doing it for their entire existence, and last year they got put in their place, and I don't think it's going to change. So I have no idea which way it's going to go, Bill, but I certainly don't think it's great if you love college football or love college basketball or any college athletics. I don't think it's great for the sport. I do think kids deserve to be making some money off their name, image, and likeness, but I don't think anybody wants it to play out like it is right now. I don't think a lot of people do.
I know that, the NCAA eventually is going to have to figure out a way to get involved in all of this. And as we were talking a little earlier, I don't know how you kind of put it back in the tube of toothpaste back together, because once it's out, it's out. But how do you regulate this to the point that it's equal for everybody? And then, as we had a question earlier, is it just the name, image, likeness, or do you got to go into the women's sports as well, or we'll say some of the sports that aren't huge revenue generators, not just women's sports, but some of the lower end sports? Well, how do they get into all of this now that you're starting to pay players in some way, shape, or form?
Well, that's the problem. Do you, like the NCAA, again, I just don't think the NCAA in its current form is going to be able to do anything about this. I think there is going to be a situation where a lot of these Power 5 schools, maybe even, the entire Power 5 breaks off the NCAA and they create their own thing. And maybe it turns into a situation where they are essentially employees. You can collectively bargain, and it turns into that type of thing. So it's a little bit more regulated. I think that's really the only way you're going to do this, because the NCAA has come out with some of these new regulations, or that they want to enforce, and people are laughing at them for it. Like it's just not going to work. So I think eventually that for it to work, it's going to have to be broken off. But I just don't know how you do it, though. I really don't. They're at this point where people have no respect for the NCAA. They know it's a dying institution, and they're taking advantage of the situation that we're in right now. But I don't think the situation we're in right now is long-term sustainable either. Like I don't think that's how college football is going to be played out, for the rest of time, type of thing. And you mentioned the women's sports. If it turns into a situation where schools are ending up having to pay for players to, take part, I think the only thing that pays, it isn't the case for everything, but at Wisconsin, football, basketball, sometimes men's hockey are really, and sometimes volleyball are the only ones that are, that bring in money. They're the ones that help pay for every other sport there. So you would think that the other sports may take a bit of a hit if, that money has to start going to players as opposed to paying for, these other sports to take part.
You talked about Wisconsin. They don't necessarily want to dive into that. Let's just say, for example, Ohio State's the biggest program. Ohio State and Michigan, those are probably the two biggest. If you're losing recruits to them, do you eventually say, you know what, we got to keep up with the Joneses? We got to go in that direction. It's one thing to talk about academic standards. It's another thing to talk about the monetary moral high ground. I don't see how you don't get into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's fair, except I think they're already losing players to them. Like if they start losing players to, it's Ohio State, it's Michigan. You're going to lose more often than not in those battles. Now, if they come in and start taking kids out of the state, like they had, there's been a few situations where that's happened, especially in the 2022 class. Then maybe it's a different conversation. But they've always been losing kids. Now, if Iowa or Minnesota is starting to offer money and you're losing kids to them, maybe the conversation is a little bit different. But I don't think Wisconsin's ever going to be pulled into that realm of Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama. Like it's just not who they are. We heard Greg Gard say that it's not who they've been as a program. And I think this goes for football too. It's not who they are as a program. It's not who they are as a school. Just not going to happen. And I know you're saying at some point you have to. I don't think you're ever going to be in that like huge sums of money. Now, once you get them here, NIL wise, they have a great thing in place. Once you get them here, if you get them here and you get them on campus, there's a ton of NIL opportunities. You got multiple players and students making six figures in NIL deals. Like there's money here. It's just they're not going to pay for them to get them here. It's essentially what they've drawn the line at.
So give me your thoughts, because you talk to people in that program more than probably anybody. Are there coaches, assistant coaches, staff members nervous that, hey, we can't compete with some of these programs that are out there? We're probably going to lose some of these guys because of this. Are they nervous that, man, this is just such a slippery slope?
I don't know about nervous, but I certainly think there's a little bit of trepidation just because you don't know what's going to be coming down the line. There are certain programs that are taking advantage of the situation right now. I think Texas A&M is probably at the head of that in terms of, taking advantage of what the NIL rules are and what the rules are in certain parts of the country. I don't think nervous. I think they're going about business as usual. I think they're going about trying to sell the school in the way that they do, and the NIL opportunities once you get here and once you have the opportunity to potentially, be a good player and make money off your name. There are a ton of opportunities here. I think that's what they're selling at this point. It's just, and I know that there has been talk around Wisconsin, certainly, donors and that type of thing that would like to put together a collective. And, but I just don't, it's never going to be a situation that you're seeing at some of these other schools where it's pretty blatant. You're paying for them to come to your school just by, that's essentially what you're doing with some of these collectives. And Wisconsin, that's just not them. That's not going to be them. I don't think Wisconsin coaches are nervous, but I think there is a little bit of uncertainty there for sure.
Let's talk a little football for a minute. Give me your thoughts. Obviously, the schedule's starting to trickle out, and we're starting to see some of these dates. You've got, an evening game with Wisconsin and Ohio State, one of the big games. It's going to be with College Game Day, you would assume, at this point over at the Shoe. Give me your thoughts on the schedule. Give me your thoughts on the excitement for this season, and some of the maturity of some of the kids that were recruited a couple of years ago and how they start to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your reaction was to it. Especially the Ohio State game. I think there's a lot of fans like, oh boy. We saw some of the early lines come out. I think the Wisconsin-Ohio State line, Ben, you can help me here, but I think it was 16. Ohio State was favored by 16. I mean, it'd be hard to take Wisconsin in that situation. It's going to be a night game at the Shoe with the way Ohio State's offense is going to be rolling, you would think, this year. So I think that's an exciting game. I just don't know how competitive it's going to be. Like, people are really excited to go and see, or, to see games trickling out in terms of where they might be time-wise and that type of stuff. That is probably not the game that I think a lot of people, or I'm looking forward to watching. I mean, I think it's going to be a really tough matchup for Wisconsin. Going there, likely night game against that offense. Very, very difficult. Bill, I don't know if you look at this home schedule. I can't remember a home schedule that's been this bad. Like, as good as some of the games were last year, you look, they get Illinois State, Washington State, New Mexico State, Illinois, Purdue, Maryland, and Minnesota. That's the home schedule.
Right.
Is there a game that stands out there that you want to go, that you would want to go to if you were a fan? Like, gosh, that's a game I can't miss. And they get to go to Michigan State. They go to Iowa. Those are nice, and Ohio State. But, oh, man, the home schedule, really, really rough. In terms of some of the guys I'm excited to see, I mean, you have to be excited about their defense. Their outside linebackers have just been playing in spring were fantastic. A lot of names I think you're going to be – we know the name Nick Herbig. A lot of more names coming. That defense is going to be really, really good. I just don't know in terms of the Ohio State game. That might be the one trip up, but that defense has a chance to be really, really good. And then offense, we all know what it comes back to.
Right.
We all know what it comes back to. Can Graham Mertz play complementary football with what should be a very good run game?
The only one I'd be excited for is if they get the win over Minnesota and you see Paul Bunyan's axe unveiled, and that's probably that in the first one of the season, because the first one of the season tells you that college football's back, so at least it gets me back to a sense of normalcy on Saturday, I guess, Zach. But I agree with you. I think it's all on the shoulder of Graham Mertz. So you tell me, what kind of growth do you think there has been from Graham Mertz from last year to this year?
They were putting in a new offense. I'll say this. They were putting in a new offense during spring ball. He had some moments, but he's had some moments in his career. Like he shows off some of the excitement that we saw when he first came in. Like his arm, he can make a ton of throws. He's got some great accuracy on throws, but it's just not consistent. And I thought that was an issue in spring again. And if you're the optimist, you sit there and say it's a new offense, a whole new receiver group, a whole new tight end group. It's spring, we're working on stuff, and you just say he'll be fine. If you're the pessimist, you say, well, that's kind of who he's been, the inconsistent guy who he's been through his first 2 years as a starter, and maybe that's just who he is. I think for them to have success, it needs to be the optimists. The optimists need to be right. And look, I think he's going to have a number of different weapons. I think better weapons than he has had these last 2 years. I think they have a true number one wide receiver in Chimere Dike. You have a guy that in Braylon Allen, it's one of the best running backs in the country. You're going to have an offensive line that is, I think, going to push some people around better than they have these last 2 years. So you have that going for him, but he needs to be able to take advantage of it. And the thing is, it's him or nobody. Like there's nobody behind him at this moment that can go in there and lead them to a successful season. It's going to be him or it's going to be nobody.
What about the receivers that he's going to be throwing to? Give me your thoughts there about if you've got sometimes quarterback can make a receiver better, sometimes the receivers can make a quarterback better. You tell me.
Yeah, I really like the group, and I know that Danny Davis is up in Green Bay with the Packers as an undrafted free agent. Kendrick Pryor is down in Cincinnati with the Bengals. I actually like this group better than they had last year. I think Chimere Dike has taken a step. I think he's a guy that can be a true number one wide receiver, probably the first true number one they've had since Quintez Cephas in 2019. And it's not something that they've had a ton of really over the last 25 years or so. I mean, you can go back to Lee Evans and Brandon Williams and Jared Aberdarius and that type, but they haven't had a true number one consistently. And I think Chimere does that, but they have some young guys that are very, very exciting, whether it's a Skylar Bell or a Keontez Lewis, a transfer from UCLA, or Marcus Allen, another guy that they really like. They moved Bobby Ingram's son, Dean Ingram. He was a quarterback last year. Now he's a wide receiver and looked really good in spring. I like their group, Bill. I think they give Graham some very good weapons to work with, but he also has to hit them, right?
Right.
And I think they'll make some plays for him in the pass game to help him out. But I do like the group. And again, as I said, I think Chimere Dike has a chance to be really special this year.
Tell me about the defense real quick before I let you go. I mean, if let's just say the offense isn't what we're hoping for, how good is this defense going to be, and can they slow down some of the likes of a team like Ohio State?
I don't know about slow down Ohio State. I don't know how many teams are going to slow down Ohio State this year, but I do. I kind of went out on a limb here earlier when me and Ben show Kenny and Heilprin that we do every Thursday, and said I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year, but they have a chance to be. Like, they are better along the defensive line, better at outside linebacker. I think they're as good, if not better, at quarterback, and they're probably about the same at safety, maybe a little less. And obviously at inside linebacker, losing Jack Sanborn and Leo Schnell, probably not going to be at that level. But the rest of the defense as a whole, I think they have a chance to be as good as they were last year. Like, that's the ceiling, I think is last year's defense. They have so many different guys that can make plays, especially at outside linebacker, that they have a chance to be that. I'm not saying they're going to be that. I mean, that defense was arguably the best in school history, numbers-wise. But this group has a chance to be pretty good, too.
Zach, always good to talk to you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the lowdown, and we will touch base again real soon, I'm sure, okay?
All right, sounds good, Bill. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. Zach Heilprin, the sports director, WOZN out in Madison, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline and giving us the lowdown on some of the NIL situation, thoughts and such coming out of Madison and the football program itself as some of the schedule has been released, and looking at some of the home games versus the road games, the Ohio State game and such. And he's right. They are favored. Ohio State is by 16 in that contest, and hopefully the Badgers can overcome. But nevertheless, they got a mountain to climb, and a lot of uncertainty right now, and it begins and ends with Graham Mertz as to whether or not he's going to be able to be better than what he was last year. And instead of just showing us a couple of moments, can he show us a lot of moments, put it all together this upcoming season, and really show why he was so coveted and they wanted him to come to Wisconsin. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Joey Albanese's and Albanese's Roadhouse. They are on Blue Mountain Road. They're in Waukesha, right next to Menards. And in case you are looking for it, they are looking for some bocce ball players, but it's just good food. He's got good scotches, good bourbons, whiskeys, and such out there now if you want to pair them up with some things, or if you just want to go out for some great food, a good time, very home-style type of atmosphere, just a good guy to know. There's good people that work there, but more so than anything, by the way, he's looking for help too. They're looking for cooks in the kitchen. They're looking for bartenders. They're looking for servers, like everybody is, and he pays well. And it's a good place. It's always crowded, so you can make some money, whether it's on the side or it's your living, whatever it happens to be. You're going to make some money along the way. He's looking for good people. Go to Albanese's Roadhouse right there next to Menards on Blue Mountain Road, across the street from Home Depot as well. And stop in and tell Joey we said hi, and toss a bocce ball around. Toss the bocce ball around. Have a few beverages. Enjoy the summer. Let's enjoy the summer. Get out. Ciao bella. Go ahead and do it. Hang out with our friend over there at Joey Albanese's Roadhouse. Stay tuned. We got a lot more. The Bill Michaels Show broadcasting live. We're at the Social House today, which is right here on Lisbon Road, Menomonee Falls. Had a really good crowd in here for lunch. People are going for the tap takeover today. And if you're getting some of the beers on tap, portion of the proceeds go to Fisher House, Wisconsin, which is a home away from home for military members, veterans, and their families during their time of need, when they're getting medical treatment, when they're getting sometimes life-threatening illnesses, or coming back from rehabilitation, whether it's spinal cord rehabilitation or amputation or whatever it happens to be, some things that are necessary. We want those family members around them, and that's why we do what we do regarding the Fisher House. So please, if you can come out and just enjoy yourself a little bit. We're not asking for anything more than that. Come out and enjoy yourself, and a portion of the proceeds go directly to Fisher House, Wisconsin. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina, and this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only 1 or 2 lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and Impervia, Pella's exclusive never rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. Then there's financing to fit any budget. And now, up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Hella now? Pay later. Hella now. Pay
Court's
later.
adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We are broadcasting. We're live here at the Social House. We're here in on Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls, and just enjoying the day. The garage doors are up, and a few clouds in the sky, but a nice breeze blowing through, and a terrific place to have the grand reopening at the Social House. But we're here because a portion of the proceeds, and it starts today, for all the tap takeovers, all the different tap beers, everything that they have. There's going to be a donation jar here as well, but a portion of the proceeds goes to Fisher House, Wisconsin. And Fisher House is a home away from home for military veterans, military members, their families, during their time of need, when they have to have surgical things, hospitalization and such done at the VA. This is a place that the families can go. They can stay overnight. They can do it without the worries of a hotel or worries of rental car. They've got shuttles that take you back and forth on the property to the VA. That get you back and forth to your loved one. I mean, there's a lot of things that Fisher House does, both on the premise and off. And that's the reason we're here. And we're hoping to begin construction on a new home in Madison very soon as well. Just trying to work out the logistics there, but they're hoping for that. So the fundraising continues, and we can't say thanks enough to Dan Della, his staff, for all that they do out here for Fisher House, Wisconsin. And they've always been a big supporter of the motorcycle ride as well. And today you can also, if you find the QR code, there's so many places to go look for it. But it's on, right now it's on the Facebook page. You can find it there. Simply go to Big Unit Poker Run on Facebook, and you can find it. Go to the QR code. You get signed up for the motorcycle ride today, and you automatically register for some of the stuff that we're giving away today, which is a gift card. A restaurant gift card today. We're going to have 3 more of these after today. We're going to be at Potawatomi Bingo Casino. The most recent one coming up, we're going to be at the War Memorial at the end of the month as we kick off Memorial Day weekend and the Field of Flags. And I cannot wait to bring you the visual for that over on the Bud Light live stream, which is spectacular. And the War Memorial, while it's based in Milwaukee, it's really Wisconsin's War Memorial. And it is so meaningful to so many. And hopefully you can support that, support our cause. But go and scan the QR code today and get all signed up, and you'll be good to go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So, Ben, where are we at on the PGA right now as far as scores go? Are we still looking at Rory McIlroy being your leader at this point?
Yeah, Rory just finished 5 under, shot a 65 today. He is in first. At 4 under, Will Zalatoris and Tom Hoagie. And then a couple guys are at 3. Tiger finished. He shot a 74, so 4 over. Spieth is a couple over. It's playing pretty tough. There are only, 15, 18 guys under par right now.
Where's the
a lot
cut
of them
line
getting a
gonna be for
round
this
started?
thing? Where's the cut line, do you think? You think cut line's +2?
Hard to say with the afternoon wave still going. Apparently tomorrow is going to be windy and challenging and cold. So, yeah, probably +1, +2.
Yeah, I got to imagine. Like you said, there's only a handful of guys that are under par at this point. And Rory having a spectacular day. Rory and Will Zalatoris, both, and Tim Hoagie, or Tom Hoagie as well. Those 3 guys. But not Matt Kuchar, by the way, 3 under par. Abraham Answer, he is also 3 under. But, yeah, there's only a handful of guys under par today. I wonder if it's going to be 1, 2 over, possibly 3, if tomorrow gets a little bit crazy. At the PGA Championship, but man, Tiger's struggling. 4 over today is the way he finished. 74 was his final round, or was his finishing round. 4 over, looked good, had good shots, had poor shots, had a few putts that didn't go the way he wanted them to. So not a great day for Tiger by any stretch of the imagination, but nevertheless, it was good to see him move around out there. Where did Jordan Spieth end up, by the way? Because he was in that group. Because Rory's leading.
Tiger.
Go ahead.
Tiger, by the way, looks like he is in considerable pain, especially going down the end of his round.
Really?
Spieth finished at 2 over. He just could not make a putt. I think he is third to last in the field in putting right now.
Yeah, that's what Gary D'Amato was saying, was that Jordan Spieth looks like he's striking the ball as well as he ever has. The problem has been the fact that his putter has kind of left him. His touch has kind of left him. His reads have kind of left him. So if he can straighten his putting out, he's a guy that all of a sudden could just go on some kind of a tear if he gets his feel back. But right now, he's not reading greens very well, and he's not putting extremely well. So, yeah, I agree. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We got a couple of segments left to go in the show. We are hoping at some point here, the Fisher House president, Angie Christensen, is going to be joining us. I know she was running a little bit late today, so hopefully she gets a chance to swing by and say hello to us. But we got a couple of segments left to go before we get out of here. Brewers get a big win yesterday, off today. You got basketball as well. That's going to be in full swing. You've got the Heat and the Celtics. Marcus Smart, by the way, has been upgraded to questionable for the upcoming game. To questionable as they go into game 2. The Heat got the Celtics in game 1. He's been upgraded to questionable, so a little bit more on that coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at San Giorgio and Calderon Club. I'm still going to be heading, as a matter of fact, Saturday night, you're going to find me at one of the two places, San Giorgio or Calderon Club. I haven't been down to see Gino in a while. Got to go see him. So I'm going to be down there on Saturday night. If you're out and about, you want to stop by, say hello. But I'm either going to get the penne pasta and the sashina over on the Calderon Club side, or I'm going to go over and get the pizzas over on San Giorgio. I just haven't made my mind up yet. It depends on what I'm craving. But they pair it up with Cider Boys. They pair it up with that good brew down there, and that's what they've been doing and selling for a long time. Thanks to Gino, thanks to his staff, thanks to Joe Martino and all of them. But if you're going to be heading downtown, and I encourage you to do so, keep supporting downtown business as they need it. A lot of bad publicity about downtown Milwaukee right now, rightfully so, but don't abandon the businesses that have been there for so long. Keep supporting places like San Giorgio and Calderon Club, and they pair it up down there with our friends over at Cider Boys. So keep doing that as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They're racing and you don't want to miss it. June 9th through the 12th, it's the NTT IndyCar Series Sazio Grand Prix presented by AMR. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes.
When you do it.
Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad to have you. Hey, if you're going out this weekend, make sure if you're going to do any lake country visiting, you stop out and you see our girl Trish and the gang out at Sunset Grill on Pewaukee Lake. And I've always said, it's an inside joke. You got to ask her if Trish still has the leather pants. I'm just telling you. Just make sure you ask her that. She'll let you know, or she'll come and punch me, one of the two. But good food. They got a balcony and a bar right there on the water. They have got boat docks and such off of Pewaukee Lake. So if you want to go in and enjoy yourself, maybe catch a game, have a couple beverages, kind of just take a nice slow cruise around the lake, a sunset cruise, or maybe just enjoy the day and get some sun. Check out our friends at Sunset Grill in Pewaukee. That's Sunset Grill in Pewaukee. And tell them we sent you. Good people over there. Joining us now, Angie Christensen from Fisher House, the president. How you doing?
I'm good, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. So let's start off with, because I get asked all the time, Fisher House and what it is. And I've always said kind of the home away from home for veterans and military members and their families. But where we're at right now, we've got a house that's been built. We continue to raise funds to maintain it. I know that we are, efforting to build another house towards Madison. We're still cutting through the red tape there. So if we had a state of the state right now, how are we doing?
We're doing good, Bill. I mean, we're kind of at a sweet spot where, we're healthy. We're doing well. Milwaukee's been up and running for 6 years, served over 3,500 families since we opened.
Yeah, people don't realize that. 3,500 families have stayed there. Yeah.
Families.
Rent-free.
Families.
Yeah.
For free
no
of
hotel
charge.
costs, no nothing. They come in just at a time of need, and they stay there. Over 3,500 people.
Yep.
Yeah.
3,500 families.
3,500 families, yeah.
So you could easily double that.
Right.
And then Madison, like you said, you hit it right on the head. We haven't started our capital campaign yet, just because we're waiting to figure out what land are we going to get.
Right.
And the Department of Veteran Affairs are working through that. It's never soon enough because the need is there. There's no doubt about it. We're just waiting for them to cut that piece of tape and so we can open a capital campaign.
The one thing that I always talk about, and people say, well, it's a house. What do you need? And I've said before that you go back to when the government shut down and a family would have to go meet a casket, unfortunately. That's something Fisher House took care of. It's not just a house. It's not four walls. It's the family of Fisher House. Zachary Fisher started this years and years ago. There's so much more to it that is not tangible in the sense of you can see it, touch it, feel it, that we do. There's an acceptance of, airline miles and things like that can help veterans and families and such travel the country and get to the VA or do certain things. But it's also in taking care of people. If they're not going to the VA, we have been able to help people that have needed to go to, say, Freighted for something, whether it's cancer research or treatment or what have you. So it's not just the four walls of the building.
Not at all. I mean, part of our mission, and Bill, you're on the board of directors with us. We've allocated and agreed as a board that we would allocate X amount of dollars for the Madison VA and the Milwaukee VA Medical Center for things that the veterans need. In Madison, we just took their wish list, and it was baby onesies and diaper bags. And, because of the generous donors and sponsors we have for Fisher House, Wisconsin, we're able to do that. For the Milwaukee VA, it was K-Pods for the Keurig machine. Who would have thought of that? Or phone chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to the hospital and you expect to stay for a couple hours and you end up overnight or multiple nights. It's also the families that we support, but the actual veterans in the hospital and the needs that the family may have when they're there. One division asked for cranberry juice boxes. Okay.
Right.
So we literally, our strategic group from the Fisher House, Wisconsin, took that wish list, pared it down, and that's what we ordered. And we're still getting compliments and thank yous, more importantly, that I can charge my phone, or I had an orange juice for breakfast.
That's the thing. People don't realize when you go there, all the things that you forget, or if you go to the VA or you go to the hospital and you're expecting to be, looked at, but yet all of a sudden they say, no, you have to stay. There's something more we need to take care of. You forget about things like iPod chargers or iPhone chargers or just phone chargers or just the little things that are outside of the normal realm. That's also taken care of by the Fisher House. And when you talk about diaper bags and onesies, they're obviously not military, but it's the families of the military when they have to stay. And you've got a young wife with a newborn or a small child that comes and they don't expect to stay. And all of a sudden they have to for a day or a month or whatever. We've had families that have come in and said, hey, we were coming for a checkup.
Right.
And next thing you know, a month later, they're still there. That's the kind of stuff we take care of.
Correct. 100%. And it's, the donations and gift cards and, the lady who comes in with a sweater over her shoulders and all of a sudden she's with us, like you said, for a month or two, all she physically has is what's on her shoulders.
Right.
Well, through donations and our sponsors and donors, we're able to give them a gift card to go to Walmart or Kohl's, or we have the toiletry bags pre-assembled for them. So you have shampoo and toothpaste. It's everything you need to live, but you don't expect to not be home for a month or two or longer.
And when you're at the house, I've always said you got your own space, refrigerator wise, you've got your own kitchen to use, you've got your own eating area, you've got your own room, and it's as nice as any 5-star hotel that you've ever stayed in. I mean, it's a beautiful, it's built by us, run by us, but given to the VA for their use. And that's the neat aspect of all of this. But the other thing is in the fundraising, our motorcycle ride's coming up, and it's going to be hopefully, knock on wood weather-wise, we have great weather, but hopefully this is our biggest and our best, and it continues to get bigger and better as we made the announcement today and yesterday. But the two biggest things we do is the golf outing, which is coming up, and that's the Monday prior to my ride.
Right.
And then obviously the motorcycle ride. So I don't talk a lot about the golf outing because we push so much on the registration and pre-registration for the motorcycle ride. But for those that don't ride motorcycles that do play golf, our golf outing is the Monday before Labor Day weekend.
Right.
It's
Monday,
the
29th.
29th this year. So let's talk about that for a minute because it's at Geneva National. We still have some foursomes available. How many total did we put on the course last year? Because last year we set a record.
Last year we oversold 296.
296
288
golfers.
Is 2 courses full. We did 296.
Okay, so we did 296. We're about 14 people over, 10 people, 12 people over than what we normally should have done. But that's good because there was such a demand. There was such a need for it.
Yep.
So we're not completely sold out yet. So if there's a company out there and they want to get in touch or figure out how to play in the golf outing or sponsor the golf outing, I think we need as much a sponsorship as we do the golfers themselves. How do they do that?
Yeah. So
because that's your baby.
Yeah, that's my baby. My first baby. You're my second baby. So FisherHouseWI.org, go under events and you'll see the link for your ride as well as our golf outing that we're having. We still have a waiting list of veterans. And what I say when I mean that is there's veterans who can't afford to golf at Geneva National, or, they don't have the skill set to be, even quasi semi-pro, but they just come to swing the wood, they call it, or stick, and see what happens. So a lot of companies will donate a veteran's foursome. So $700, and for $1,000 you get the foursome for the veterans, and then you get a whole sponsorship as well. All of our social media venues will acknowledge you, and our sponsor banners, and a lot of companies are doing that. But I still have a waiting list we're just about 3 months out. And I'm
and
praying.
the waiting list is for veterans who want to play but can't afford to.
Yeah.
And so we take corporate sponsorships that say we can't play and we can't send our own, but we're going to sponsor a foursome of veterans who can play. And the interesting thing about this, and I've said this before, it was a couple of years ago, we had 4 veterans, all disabled, whether they were missing arms or legs or what have you. And they played together. And the guy came up to me and said afterwards, he said, we've been through therapy. We've seen the psychologist, the psychiatrist. We've been through group and such, in certain rooms. He said that was the most therapeutic thing he'd ever done, was play a round of golf. He didn't know any of these guys, but they were all the same. They had all similar handicaps, so to speak. And he said it was because it was guys that have been through the same thing. They've gone through the same therapy. They've gone through the same rehabilitation. But yet now they're talking to somebody who's done it rather than just people who say, oh, they're there, it's going to get better.
Right, 100%. And I know that, I think it was a Purple Heart foursome,
yes.
if I recall that correctly. And that was, we've been blessed to be able to keep our golf outing even through COVID. We made some changes and such, but literally we were to the point as a board where we didn't know if we could have it. And I remember during the board meeting that year, last 2 years, getting a text, you're still having it, right? We're doing golf, right? I'm like, guys, I don't know. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
But what do you mean I have to? This is the only time we get to see each other.
Yeah.
This is, like you said, Bill, better than therapy. It's more beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And we were blessed to be able to still continue it throughout COVID with some modifications and restrictions. But I swear they had a headhunt out for me.
Yeah.
If I would have said no, we're off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be here today.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty adamant. And, we're looking at about, at least a third or closer to 2/3 are veterans or military reserves right now.
So if you want to donate, if you want to be a part of it, if you want to join, if you don't motorcycle ride and you can't come with us, then there's an opportunity for you corporately or singularly. Either way, go to FisherHouseWI.org. That's FisherHouseWI.org. And then you can maybe join in or sponsor, if you will, for the golf outing. The other thing I wanted to get into real quick, and I was getting questions on this the other night when I did the speech for the Rock River Hog chapter, is volunteers. We need volunteers. And you don't have to volunteer. It's not like you're year round and you're all the time. This is like a one-off. You can do, you can do one event. You can stop by the house. You can do certain things. But for the motorcycle ride and for the golf outing, we need, and we don't need like 40. We need like 10.
Right.
It's, that's it. And it's right now because of COVID and coming out of COVID, it's been tough to get people to volunteer and kind of help us out.
Right.
And we need that. So if people want to volunteer, how do they do that? How do they go about doing that?
Yeah. So once again, FisherHouseWI.org, there's a tab at the top that says volunteer or how can I help? What can I do?
Right.
Click on that. It'll ask you for your name, email address, and phone number. The email will come directly to me. And either myself or one of our volunteer leads will reach out to you and determine, do you want to volunteer at the Fisher House? Or do you want to be an event volunteer, which is what our ride and our golf outing have?
Yeah.
So you're right. We do need about 10 more people for both.
Yeah.
As of this.
So if you want to just volunteer for the golf outing, that's fine. Mm-hmm. If you want to just volunteer for the motorcycle ride, that's fine. But we need volunteers for both. And that's the one aspect that we don't really advertise a lot of, because we usually get so many that come out and say, great, but we just, this year we need it. We need some of those people to come out and kind of help us out. So.
Yeah. And your ride is, doubling every year, it feels like. When we go from one block of bikes to 2 to 3 to 4, I don't know how many we had last year. But we, it's easy. Put a vest on and stage bikes. It doesn't.
Or stage bikes.
Later,
you can take registration. Yep. You can help us out with people that come up and pay. We got and this year, if we get this big again or bigger, we're going to need people out and about that are helping to kind of guide people around and tell them where they need to go and stuff. So we need volunteers. So
100%.
Anything else, just FisherHouseWI.org.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. And you can find the tabs all over the place. The emails for volunteers go directly to you, and you can do the one-off.
They do.
And then obviously they're going to be donating some of the portion of the proceeds to us, the Fisher House this weekend too. So
Social House. Thank you.
Yeah. Glad you stopped by.
Thanks, Bill.
You going to eat now or drink now or
I'll wait for you and see
party
what you're
now?
going to do.
I believe it or not, I actually had a Bloody Mary during the show, and I shouldn't be doing that. Angie Christensen, president of the Fisher House, joining us up here. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up, and it's coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Tractor trailer lost his trailer. Had the highway blocked. I had to get off and weave my way down to Rumors. It was amazing. Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. We're on the air, and we are glad to have you. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Boondocks Barbecue and Brew. Was out there over the weekend and saw Tom and everybody, their staff, Stacy and everybody. They're great. I'll tell you what, I was talking about their food earlier and in the week. Good stuff. So if you're going to be heading out tomorrow, don't forget about it, whether it's riding as a motorcycle-wise or if you're going to just head out and enjoy yourself, maybe the Brewers game on the tube. Big, huge bar area. Go in and sit there, enjoy yourself a beverage or two, maybe a Bud Light. Say hi to Tom and the staff, and it's Boondocks Barbecue and Brew on County Road Q out in Oconomowoc, out in, better known as Warren, but it's Lake Country. Everybody knows where that's at. Just stop out and tell them we said hi. So real quick to kind of handicap, or recap, I shouldn't say handicap, but recap the final day today, as you still have a lot of golfers on the golf course regarding the PGA Championship, and still a lot of golfers have not even played and teed off as of yet. But Rory McIlroy is your clubhouse leader. He is in the clubhouse at 5 under par, shot a 65 today. Will Zalatoris is sitting there at 4 under. Tom Hoagie at 4 under as well. Matt Kuchar at 3 under, and it kind of goes from there. While you got Tiger Woods 2 over today. Scotty Scheffler sitting at even par, who was, when we were talking to Gary D'Amato a little earlier, he was kind of thinking Scheffler might be the guy. Keegan Bradley also at even par today. Minwoo Lee at even par today. You've got a couple others that of note, if you will. That Justin Thomas, by the way, 1 under. Adam Scott, 1 under. But a lot of guys have not even hit the golf course as of yet. So they've still got a lot of tee times yet to go. You got Heinrich Stenson, Luis Oosthuizen, that has to go out yet. You got Tommy Fleetwood that is still going to go out yet. Sergio Garcia, Matt Fitzpatrick that are still yet to hit the golf links, and a few others that are still waiting in the clubhouse to get their chance at it. So that's kind of the way the PGA Championship is shaping up as we speak. 877-867-1670, 867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Final segment of the program coming up tomorrow. We're going to wrap things up for the week and talk a little bit more about the upcoming series for the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend. Brewers going to be back at home again. You got Washington coming to town before they then head back out on a rather lengthy road trip when they go to San Diego, St. Louis, and then Chicago. So you head out on the West Coast and then come back to the Midwest, and we'll get into that discussion tomorrow. Any more Packer news or any more barbs back and forth between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher? We'll get into that discussion if indeed it continues to remain heated between the two. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. We'll be back in studio tomorrow and then taking off, heading down to Chicago where the event that we talked with Frankie Winters about yesterday. We're going to talk with Frank, or not going to talk with Frankie, but going to see him tomorrow night. With Mike Ditka and the Gridiron Greats as they have their Hall of Fame induction ceremony dinner tomorrow night. Going to be down there for that. Coach Ron Rivera, Warwick Dunn, the Hall of Famer Jack Youngblood, all going to be down there. So going to be I'm just going to be sitting back and eating some food tomorrow night and enjoying that. I just want to get a chance to hang out with that kind of greatness. So looking forward to that tomorrow evening. What else you got, Ben? You hitting the links again today and going through more masochistic type of thoughts when it comes to the golf course, or are you just going to take it easy today and try to recoup and go save up enough money to buy more balls?
Well, Kenny and Halprin tonight, 6-7. There was a Wisconsin's inside linebackers coach actually resigned last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about that and unpacking that whole situation. So I'll be in. I'm in studio or in the office until about 8 tonight.
Give me your thoughts on that, kind of a Cliff Notes version of it real quick. Give me your thoughts on that with them losing the linebackers coach off of that defense under Jim Leonard.
Well, he was fired from Air Force for recruiting violations, and then the reason he resigned is because the NCAA is now investigating him and looking further into the incident. So the conversation is more going to surround what the hell was Wisconsin doing hiring him?
There you go.
And did they, A, do it and know that he was under fire, or B, do it and not know, which I think is a bigger indictment if you don't even go deep enough to know that your guy is under investigation.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. Is that what's the real question there? If you didn't know it, how do you not know it unless it was one of the best kept secrets out there, which I don't think it was? Or did you feel that through the interview process and what you looked into, like it wasn't that big a deal, until obviously the allegations are made, and then you have to look into or have to be the NCAA and look into all of this. But yeah, I agree. It's what's the bigger indictment right there for the University of Wisconsin. So that's all coming up tonight on Kenny and Halprin. And again, thanks to everybody stopping out to the Social House today here in Lisbon Road in Menomonee Falls. Don't forget the entire weekend, today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, portion of the proceeds all going to Fisher House, Wisconsin, helping veterans, their families, military members, and such. And we certainly appreciate it. And don't forget to continue to sign up today. Take the QR code off of the Big Unit Poker Run over on Facebook or any place else that you happen to find it. Get registered for the motorcycle ride. It promises to be great on Sunday, September 4th. Really looking forward to that. Until then, it's time for us to go. Have a good one.